A new tank game on the horizon. Steel Aces. This is the tank game that we are promised. It is a replacement for both World of Tanks and War Thunder. Both games? That's right. It takes the best parts of either game and combines them into one. For example, as you can see, there are health bars. However, the amount of damage you do actually depends on the internal fragments and spalling and perforation damage, which means it's kind of like War Thunder, as you can see from that window in the top right corner. And it's got a variety of mechanics from either game. For example, spotting is like World of Tanks, in that you have to be within someone's view range in order to actually physically render them, and bushes and trees will prevent you from spotting them. However, the armor is like War Thunder in that it's volumetric. The amount of armor something has depends on the actual physical distance between the two plates, as opposed to just an armor value. For a more accurate armor model, the tank physics are also much more realistic, almost to even a simulator level, with historical engines and everything. All of these combine to provide a hopefully unique experience as the best of both games combined into one. Just a quick overview, as you can see from your screen, we've got a variety of icons and visual elements that are very similar to, for example, World of Tanks. We've got the mini-map at the bottom, we've got our ammo and our repair kits and med kits, as well as your health bar being situated right above them. The middle is your reticle and crosshair with additional information about your gun. On the bottom left, we got a little more information. For example, when I get near these bushes, it actually tells you how much camo it's providing you, which is quite nice. The top left and the top right also show the team members and what vehicles they're in. And at the very top of the screen, health and the icons. Very similar. We're not reinventing the wheel here. It's very easy to just jump in and start playing. This video will be structured into 3 parts. The first part, I'm just going to show you some very funny moments that I've had with friends playing the closed beta test. The second part is my analysis of the game itself. And the third part is my analysis of the developers behind the game. Because, of course, a game can only be as good as its developers, right? So let's get into the funny moments first.
I mean, I'm watching Sophie stream. I'm not listening to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch the VOD.
I'm never gonna watch a woman play, ever.
Jesus. We can either wait for you guys and play the next match. That way we can get 4 of us in.
Well, can't you just desert?
Yeah, we just deserted. Yeah.
I love deserting. Deserting's my favorite thing in the whole wide world.
Yeah, you enjoy sweets, huh?
I was gonna say the same thing. I love dessert too, man.
I get hit by Artie, dessert. Someone pens me, dessert.
Yeah, I'm amazed you're not fat by now.
It's called replay maxing.
Hey G, how's it going? Hey Kems.
Hey,
hi. So,
Hey,
is there all chat?
No,
I have something to
not
say
yet.
to the enemy team.
No, not yet.
Okay.
We have not.
Just trying to ruin the feature before it's in the game.
Oh, yo.
He's just min-maxing.
Don't worry, guys. There's no chat bans
oh,
yet.
man.
There's no chat bans yet. Let rip.
Come on, Kems. I want you to have fun in the game. Trust me, no one wants you to have more fun.
I'm having fun.
Great, and we appreciate you letting your all you guys letting know your communities know and celebrating this. It's very cool. I will, but again, rank 3 would be awesome. I'm going to be bouncing around telling other folks as well. And we know about the fishtail. You're kicking out your rear end like Fast Furious or Steve McQueen or entering your favorite racing movie here. We are working on that already.
You should have seen one where...
Yay! Oh, I just flipped our ally. And he instantly blew up.
I was on a soap rock, and when
Try
I finally...
not to kill your own team, please. We want everyone to enjoy the experience.
I'm just gonna keep pinging his dead body.
When I finally hit traction, my
see you guys in a minute.
skirted. Hey Goose, we're doing tier
That's
3.
it. I'm doing a dash.
Said.
Yeah, I've been.
I'm gonna join the queue.
No, I spun out.
I can tell you right now, do not drive your tank off any sort of legs.
Oh, dude. No, 100%.
It's to death.
Oh my god, I'm getting railed by an M3 Lee.
Oh, that's weird.
Mine occasionally pops
You
up.
sure you're hitting
It's
the
not
tank?
all the time. It's just like sometimes. And then
I'm stuck again. This is no good.
This is so dumb.
Oh, 2 sides separated by a long distance? My favorite.
Are you guys in this match too?
I'm on a
Tier 10
desert.
match?
I'm on my homeland.
Yeah, I'm on the desert as well. Land. Like sake.
I know every landmark here. That mountain is the Ras Al Abid mountain. Don't translate that.
Man.
It means the desert mountain.
Don't shoot me. I'm just trying to cap the base, okay? Don't just...
Are you getting paid by the hour? Is that why you don't want it to end?
Holy cow. I just got hit for 1,000.
I was asking, right, because Myland said he had some really good paid actors, right? They did a lot, right? So I got the cheapest paid actor I could get, right? I was
Well,
only one
I just
paid.
hit an invisible wall.
Screenshot it.
Yeah, now all we need is funny anime crossovers.
Best thing Wargaming's done in the last like 5 years is Girls and Panzer crossover. Let's be so for real.
Yeah, I need that anime dopamine in my brain.
You guys are sick.
It's okay. She's actually 3,000 years old. She just looks like she's 30.
You like minors. Just own up to it.
Man, tier 2's like driving a little go-kart around.
This thing cannot turn. What is this? I also love how everything in the low tiers is just 37mm.
Don't need any more. Size doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay, it's not about the size of the wave, guys. It's about the motion of the ocean. Come on.
Like, I can't wait for tier 1 to be like a little Tykes car with a 37mm.
What?
Which feeling?
That it feels fucking way too slow to drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody
Yeah.
thinks this except the Bulldog.
The game feels very slow.
This feels like watching.
It's sunk cost fallacy. You put too much effort into the driving mechanics. You're not gonna get rid of it.
Wait, you will jump? You will jump? Oh, well, no.
Don't do that again. Don't do that again.
Oh
no.
Let's go.
Oh shit.
Oh, they do. Damn, that sucks.
Hey, Kems, how is the spotting system?
It's pretty much the same as what?
Are people perma-spotted, or is it just...
Use dual gun. Use dual gun.
whenever
Use
they're in
dual
the
gun.
gun?
Use dual gun thing. Like, wolf turrets. Okay, so which one's first one, right?
This guy is stupid.
I found the European.
European detected, opinion rejected.
Check. Yeah, this one you should check.
Another
Wait, this
M3
one?
Lee.
Oh no, wait.
Finally, a worthy opponent. Our battle will be
Switch,
legendary.
shoot.
I am switching.
If you can.
You don't have to tell Kems how to play a tank game. I'm pretty
Oh, well,
sure
we
he's
can
not that
penetrate.
retarded.
I can't penetrate him.
Can you
There's no
trust-
indicator.
Oh,
Nice.
get fucked.
Yes! Second kill, second
Bro,
destroy.
was it
Okay, the
Eagles
double
bomb?
turret is fun.
Oh, nice, but you can just get the
Oh.
third kill. Nice.
Double turret is pretty OP, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Bro,
Dude.
that's a DPM, bro. That's a DPM.
Oh well. He got.
DPM
Wow.
maxing.
Check
Was
them
that
out,
3
man,
kills?
check
This
them
is the
out.
double shotgun.
It was at least
Yo,
two.
this is
I
the
didn't
double
see
shotgun
he killed
from
a BT.
Fortnite.
Whole match.
Check. Ah, well.
Okay, that was the only fun I've ever had in this game.
I was gonna say that.
And
was
it's
the
when I
most
can actually
interesting
shoot things
game.
and not drive.
They're doing too much.
Oh,
Another
You
one.
have to make it
You're
simple.
trying too hard.
I'm not gonna cap.
Yeah,
Capping's
yeah.
boring. Hey, buddy.
No cat kill all.
Shoot.
I was gonna say, can you pen him with the 30?
I don't think so.
It's too
No.
thick.
Unless I hit like...
Because I would assume the damage fall off.
Why does it have to reset how far I zoom?
Try a little bit lower. Yeah,
I might
exactly
add
this
the
one.
option
No.
for that later.
Upper frontal brake is
Shoulda-
actually
he shoulda
weaker.
Shot his tracks with
Yeah,
the-
I think that round part is the thick part, right?
Yeah, it's like the Sharkman.
They coming, they coming,
Oh.
they coming.
There's two of them.
Yeah.
Watch
They
that
shoot the
shell
flat
play,
part.
It's hilarious. The flat
It's-
part in between the turret and the upper plate. Yeah.
Like there's the driver's hatch, yeah.
Nice.
This?
Yeah. That's
Well,
part. If it actually goes there.
well, you're dead. You're dead. I think.
Like right of it, not the driver's hatch.
Oh, you
Oh.
won.
Frank,
I think we capped.
yeah. The driver's hatch doesn't have the welded plate on it.
But it's still
The bottom side
75,
of the-
isn't it?
Dude, Antigone, you sound like a nerd. What do you know about Star Wars, man? Tell me the Star Wars legends.
Bro, you're European.
Get fucked, anti-tank. What do you know about Star Wars, huh?
Dude.
Oh look, another
Dude, you sound
classic.
like a nerd, man.
Another classic rubble pile.
So Pirox. Another certified hood class.
Proper.
Oh, he rammed. Oh.
There's no crushing damage. Lame.
There is actually.
Not enough.
Destroyed. I'm eating chocolate.
Is there a pig in it? Is there a pig in it?
What kind of fucking Eastern European chocolate has pig in it, bro? What the fuck?
Fucking Eastern Europeans, dude.
Dude, Americans don't understand sarcasm.
I mean, gummy bears does have pigs.
I meant Americans. Sorry, my bad.
Oh my god, the European accents are getting to me, man.
The European.
Can't you just speak normally?
Incapable of,
Just speak normally.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You fucking better be.
I'm sorry.
That's much better.
We will speak with the European accent just for the sake of
No,
rolling.
do not roll your R's.
I'm gonna get anything non-dairy.
Do not say European.
Harden, Borden, Harden.
American.
Just say American.
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 Oh, there we go. I feel so at home now.
I'm gonna
Holy
have
shit.
Sex with my cousin.
Yeah. For a brief moment, I felt at home. This thing can actually, like, move.
Why the hell does this one fucking whip around like it's a NASCAR? Like,
it's German.
The other ones are fucking retarded.
Is German.
Hey, Kems, people still cover that tank in World of War Thunder.
World of War Thunder.
World of War Thunder would go crazy. Isn't
Wait, that's what this game should be called. Fuck Steel Aces, World of War Thunder. I'm gonna refer to it as that from now on. Thank you.
That we could make a crazy
Dude.
title.
Yeah, World of War Thunder. Open beta.
War of Tanks. War of Tanks.
War Thunder of Tanks.
Okay.
No, I'm serious. It's the perfect description of this game. World of War Thunder.
If you make a video, you should put the title like that.
Seconds.
There's no.
Where's your ammo rack? Right here?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, kind of.
right there. But there's a fuel tank.
Driver hatch. What?
Ooh.
Average Russian tank.
What was
Bro,
that?
He found out about the War Thunder driver.
Yeah. Like I was aiming at the gun right here, but it didn't go there.
The Stalinium.
Oh, he's dead. Uh-oh.
Suboptimal.
Come on, engine. Work harder. Okay, there we go.
Your transmission's gonna explode.
The German transmission. Power goes in here, and metal fragments come out here.
What the hell is that game?
This is World of War tanks.
World of Obama tanks.
The World of War tanks. Armored. The World of Armored Warfare tanks.
Okay, I get it. Let's see if you
The
can make
World of Armored War tanks. That's the official name.
World of Armored War Tanks Iron.
Oh no!
They couldn't.
Bounce.
Bounce! Bounce! Bounce!
Bounce, bitch.
Shoot! Oh.
The logo is actually like a CT scan of a dick inside a pussy. What?
Okay.
You're actually.
Why did you say that?
I'm just gonna clip that and send it to the bulldog.
It's like
When America falls, I said, not if.
Nah, it's an if.
I mean,
I
That's
said
a
when,
huge
I
if.
said when.
I don't care what you said.
Yeah, we don't care what you think. You're European.
Yeah.
I think anything that has to do with driving in this game,
Just
like that.
Yeah,
You
it's
think
terrible.
you think they programmed it on
I
a
think
piece
it's
of paper?
primarily like their physics engine. It just looks like physics is not working right.
Because it's their physics engine is
Wait,
for cars.
wait. What?
Oh yeah,
what
that's true,
engine
right?
is built
This
on?
is like Unity driving thing.
Oh well, no.
What I don't get is that
what
if
game
physics
engine is
is
it?
made for cars, why do they have the wheeled vehicles when their physics engine is made for wheels?
Because
Because they're German.
The engine might be made for it, but they might not have the coding for it, and that might be why.
Oh fuck.
Driver's type skill issue.
Oh,
that's a nice physics, I guess.
You know what I think? I don't think this game
Break
has
that
really
car.
good. I don't think this game has a bright future because most people who are playing World of Tanks, they don't need another game. They just need a better World of Tanks. They need the World
Yeah,
of
why,
Tanks
why
that
would they
is
switch to a new game when they have everything in World of Tanks already?
Where everything is slower and more boring.
Like, be proud for that.
I've been here since the dawn of mankind.
On America, nobody is American. He emerged from Agartha 10 billion years ago.
I think that AMX might be coming back because he hasn't been lit in forever.
Think you're being
You think he's gonna come this way, or actually he can't see me from there?
Gotta say, the fact that they basically took the Armored Warfare UI, not a fan.
Oh, he's actually smart.
Oh, huge outplay.
Dude, Europe is much more peaceful than America.
You guys are literally at war
but
right now.
then Europe is full of retarded stuff.
Yeah, well, the IS-3 can fucking hurt you, really.
Oh no.
Yeah, but
You just
holy
fucking ramming.
Oh my god.
What was that?
400 ram damage from.
Please let him ram you. Please let him ram you and die.
That's funny. That's some wild ramming damage.
Oof.
Can I find this guy?
Wait, I'm a mouse. Why can't I push this guy?
No hit marker, no XP, he just fell.
Yeah, there's no. The Cupola's not the weak spot as it is in World of Tanks.
Oh,
and that's there's the armor inspector inside the garage if you want to find out other weak spots.
Yeah, it's quite
But
good.
it's also more historical. It's a different sort of game than World of Tanks, and you kind of have to learn the different things. But congrats on the kill.
Yeah,
And guys, for
I'm
questions,
nuking this
just-
ISU. Unlucky. I wanna gank this tiger.
To be honest,
M41, unfortunately, M41 didn't get.
There's no auto aim,
real auto
is
loader.
there?
No, there's none. So you cannot like do your pew pew shit.
Well, it's not like I can drive properly. Just spin out over everything.
No stands.
Listen, that IS-2 being
Uh-oh. It's up to me now.
Okay.
No.
Real quick, guys. If you want to ask questions and have specific things, I'm gonna be down in
Come on!
lobby 5. So if you do have questions, come down there. If you just want to chat, here's 5.
Thanks.
Got him!
Got it.
It doesn't feel like light tanks have that like much more view range.
They don't feel like light tanks at all. They just feel like action.
Come on, let's get this guy. Come on.
Yeah, can we pen this guy? Can we pen this guy?
Yeah, you got your shot. Now die! I'm reloading.
Wait, bro, we're all, there's only 2 of us in that fucking machine. Ah, like sending the climb pick.
Yeah, look, he can see me, which is strange.
Yeah, you're not streaming exactly, bro. Listen, when you die, the thing is...
Alright, now that you've seen all of these funny moments and kind of seen how the game plays out roughly, I'm going to go into more detail about the mechanics. For example, the shooting mechanics right here. It's an interesting concept, right, to do more damage depending on spalling, like in War Thunder. However, there's some strangeness to it occasionally. So this game is not perfectly accurate like War Thunder. Tanks do have a dispersion. It's better than World of Tanks. Most tanks are around, say, like 0.3 meters dispersion at 100 meters, and yes, they do actually use the exact same measurement system. But 0.3, that's still pretty good for World of Tanks. But of course, there's still RNG involved, right? And these maps tend to be on the larger side, so it kind of balances out in a way. You're more accurate, but the maps are bigger. But additionally, I'm not sure if this is like lag compensation or just some bug that they need to fix, but shells sometimes just don't go where you're aiming at all. Like you saw earlier in the clip, and I'll show again, I'm aiming at the machine gun port on this T-34, and it's hitting to the left, and then it's hitting below it. So I'm not really sure what that's about. It's, all of these bugs that I'm going to discuss, they have persisted through every single playtest. So I'm not sure if they're ever going to get fixed or not, but just keep in mind that is a real issue. And it's particularly annoying when you're trying to shoot tanks with weak spots and that are very well armored. And here's another thing. I'm trying to shoot this guy's tracks off, and the tracks just don't break off, which is kind of weird. It's reminding me of World of Tanks with someone using hardening. So, yeah, that person gets the ram off. Even though I tried to break his tracks off, they didn't break. And this could be because in the closed tests, modules have more hit points. It takes more to destroy them. However, I thought that was internal modules. Well, the result is that wasn't very fun. Next, I want to talk about the maps. So, as you can see on this map, it's a decently dynamic desert map. Although there are some sections that are a bit strange. And as you can see here, I'm having a very hard time driving up this slope, even in a light tank. And we'll get to the physics in a bit, but there's a lot of these like little slopes and whatnot around the map, and it kind of makes getting around rather difficult. The maps are not flat necessarily. There are many undulations and different levels, which is a good thing. I think that's a good thing. However, the other map, it's called Alpine. It's very poorly made. So in the beginning, there was the mountain at the top that a decent chunk of tanks could just not get up. Like, they literally did not have the grunt in the engine to push it up the hill. But later, they closed the mountain off from the spawn locations, so only dedicated players can get up there. And, well, I mean dedicated as in, like, a light tank going to the necessary entrance and driving all the way up. Although it's definitely not worth it, because it takes a very, very long time to get up the hill. And by the time you get up the hill, the fight's pretty much over, and you immediately have to drive down the hill now. It gets worse because the beginning is full of choke points, right? So you get into position, everybody's got to go traverse the choke points, and with the very realistic driving physics, it means it's very difficult, and a lot of times you end up pushing someone off by accident, or you yourself falling off. And of course, the water down there is deep, and it will drown you, and the rocks around it don't actually allow you to get out of it. So overall, just not very good map design. Rather unfortunate, but these things can be changed in the future, right? So, I've alluded to this many times before, but as you can see, look at this AMX-13. Look how slow it is. This comes to one of my biggest criticisms of the game, and it's the driving physics. The driving physics are extremely realistic, and I would say realistic to a fault, because everything is modeled. Torque curves, the gears, the clutch, the differential, friction and suspension, and I don't even know what else. It's a lot. For example, even efficiency, like drivetrain efficiency, is modeled. And if for one of the playtests, he made all the drivetrain efficiencies 100%, so everything could be a little bit faster. But the result of a very realistic tank physics mechanic in this game is that it is obnoxious. It's really, really obnoxious. Yeah, it turns out tanks in real life are rather heavy, right? And they are very cumbersome. Although this is realistic, this doesn't necessarily mean it's fun. And my criticisms of the driving mechanics went up tenfold after I played War Thunder with Kaizu, because I thought, okay, maybe people like this very realistic driving physics, okay? Maybe I'm the outlier. But when I played War Thunder, it was nowhere near as bad as this. War Thunder driving is fairly realistic. You would say it could be considered clunky compared to World of Tanks. Compared. However, Steel Aces is just clunky. Like, it is slow, obnoxiously clunky, and unresponsive. When you're at low speeds, you basically cannot turn. When you're at high speeds, you always spin out. Because, of course, that's realistic, right? You have this huge mass, you're trying to change direction. When you're going slowly, that's difficult. When you're going quickly, you lock one of the tracks, all the momentum spins you around. And as you can see, look at this. I'm trying to turn around. I'm actually holding A right now, and I am not turning at all. I have to press W to, like, kickstart it. And then finally, I can start going down this hill. And what really kills me is it's also very inconsistent. Like, for example, I'm in this AMX-13, why is this VK heavy tank surpassing me? Okay, granted, I overtake him after a little bit, but what's the difference between a light tank and a heavy tank at this point? There's not much. So why not just play a heavy tank, a German heavy specifically, so you could just drive around very quickly? And so, okay, my base is getting captured. I would like to go around the map and approach from a different angle, but to be honest, this tank, or this game's physics is so poor that despite even being in this light tank, I don't think I can really get to anywhere in any reasonable amount of time. And the most annoying part is the camo system. I get spotted from pretty much everywhere, regardless of bushes. I know you don't see it here. I'll overlay a little clip right now. Just being in the bushes doesn't matter. You still get spotted. So light tanks just kind of blow. And if you are wondering how this game plays out, I eventually get back to the base. And so here I'm aiming at who I presume to be a heavy capping. I get spotted. Okay, there's his side. That doesn't pen, although it's not really the best angle for him. And then, oh, I've been outflanked by a heavy who shoots me on the move. So, yeah, in my light tank, I'm the one getting outflanked. Because I don't have the mobility to go anywhere, or the gun to penetrate anything. So the armor. I mentioned that it's volumetric. What does that mean? Well, it means that each armor plate has an outside and an inside component to it, and the gap between them is the actual thickness. So for example, on the surface of this mouse turret, on the side, there's the outer part and then there's the inner part, and in between is a solid thick chunk of metal, right? And this is modeled here. As you can see, the turret front, it's penetratable because it's relatively thin compared to the mouse's big gun. And as you go to the edge, it becomes thick, right? Because this is where the slab of metal is. Now, is that a good thing? Is this a good idea? This is kind of confusing to me. I mean, for the average player, is it really wise to say, okay, the front of the turret is weak, but don't aim too much here because that's where the seam is? Sure, it might be easy to see on the mouse, but what about other tanks that have a little more complicated armor? You could also see it on the lower plate here as well. We go up and then all of a sudden it's 400 millimeters. And if you're looking at this and wondering, why is the lower plate 280 millimeters? That's quite thick. And if you look at the top right, look, the thickness is 205, sloped back at 36 degrees. I don't know why it's 205, it should be 200. This is probably an inaccuracy from the fact that it's two plates and it's measuring the distance between them. But still, what is going on here? 36 degrees, 280 millimeters total. The math actually works out to 253 millimeters. So the actual armor calculation is wrong. What? When you ask the Bulldog this, he says line of sight thickness is not the same as the thickness your projectile goes through. It should be 200 millimeters. So yeah, in fact, this is a bit incorrect. We don't use World of Tanks ballistics. Projectiles get deflected inside the armor plate. Okay. So you can see in the formula, he added a power to 1.35. Basically, it's just making the angle more pronounced. So basically, a shell comes in, and instead of going through a straight path, it deflects slightly upward, right? Well, how much does it deflect? How does normalization come into play? Do other ammo types adjust the deflection? Does heat deflect? There's a lot of unanswered questions, and a lot of little things here and there that are going to trip you up. But the result is that everything has a lot more armor. Now, you could say this is a good thing, because for a game like World of Tanks, for example, pretty much anything below tier 8 doesn't really have armor. And to be fair, it is interesting in this game that tanks do have a lot more armor. However, I'm wondering, did you really have to implement such a hard-to-understand system to accomplish this? In Steel Aces, it is a lot more difficult to penetrate tank armor. You may like it, you may not like it, it's up to you. But you know what's the worst part is that it's completely unnecessary. The whole volumetric armor system is unnecessary because you can get the same result out of, for example, the World of Tanks armor system, where it's just plates with an assigned thickness. And, like, here's an example. You saw here how the edge of the turret is thicker than the middle, right? Because there's a big armor slab here. And same thing with the lower plates. Here it is, it's 280, and then you go down here, now it's like 1,000, right? Because that's the bottom of the tank. You're aiming through all that metal all across the bottom of the tank. So you could say, oh, wow, that's more accurate. The thing is, believe it or not, World of Tanks already does this when they want to. I'll show you. Here, for example, you can see, just based off the texture, there's a weld here, right? The two plates are welded together, and Wargaming modeled it by increasing the thickness. Here, look, impact armor in the middle of the box here, 150 millimeters. You go up to the weld, it's 200. So, World of Tanks didn't need this overly complicated volumetric armor system to replicate this. And it's not just the E100. Here's the mouse corner plate, for example. Upper plate, 200. You go to this weld here, they made it 250 because it's two pieces of metal joined together. And then you go to the side, it's 185. And it's not just German tanks. This is even true on the IS-7. This is like, it's really obvious on the IS-7. You can see the plate that's welded here, right? The two plates are welded together. You have the lower plate and then with the intersection where the upper plate is. So you aim through the lower plate and then going through the upper plate piece of metal. Here we can see it's 150, it jumps to 270 as the two pieces are being merged together, right? So, again, why do you need to overcomplicate the armor when this simpler, and here's the key, less laggy system can do pretty much the same thing? And this is the key point that I'm trying to drive home, and it will become apparent throughout the rest of the video. And that is, overly complicated systems to achieve the exact same thing as simpler models or simpler systems at the expense of performance, but mainly time. They are wasting time and resources on this. I want to talk about the strange game balance. Here's what I mean about strange game balance, okay? Here's the IS-3M. It's basically a strengthened IS-3, although the armor plate is pretty much the same, right? 110. So, why is an IS-3 fighting against a mouse and an M103? Because, as far as I know, this is the exact same gun that appears on the IS. Let's look at the mouse. It's, I guess, first AP round, 264 penetration, okay? 560 damage, okay, pretty good. What's the next round? It's almost 300 penetration and the same 560 damage, okay. So, what does the IS-3 get? It gets 211 penetration with less damage, 420. Which, as you would expect, because it's a 122, not 128. What about the next round? 230 with 420 damage. But, okay, what about the heat? 400 millimeters of penetration. So, I'm not sure how the mouse, which has historical armor, right? The turret cheeks is 220. 220 turret cheeks. And the IS-3 gets 400 millimeters of penetration on the heat rounds. I don't know how the mouse is ever going to bounce that or block that. But look, it does 300 damage. So basically, you're guaranteeing to pen it pretty much anywhere, but you can only do a measly 300 damage. But here's the funny part. Don't you worry. 9 seconds reload. 9 seconds reload? On an IS-3? Do you guys know what the real historical reload is? It's 30 seconds. Yeah, it's 30 seconds. 20 to 30 seconds. It's 2 to 3 rounds per minute. So it's very funny that he's like, oh, okay, we'll just buff the shit out of the reload. We won't do the historical reload. But the historical gun depression of -3? Yeah, we're doing that. Yeah, this is going to make this thing very fun to play. -3 degrees of gun depression. Great. And why is an IS-3 fighting an M103? Since, you know, the Bulldog really likes his historical accuracy, he should know that the M103 was made as a response to the IS-3. So the IS-3 was made in around 1945, basically the end of World War II. And the M103 was in service in the late 50s, okay? This is a Cold War tank. A Cold War tank is fighting a late World War II tank. How does that make any sense? And this late World War II tank has a better reload than the M103, which had a decently modern gun for the time. I mean, here, look at this. Its Sabos is 410 millimeters of penetration, which is higher than the IS-3's 400 heat. But look at the damage, 440. The IS-3, 300. So the M103 is just better in the IS-3M in every way. It's got better armor. I guess it's got comparable mobility. The IS-3 is probably a bit faster, but look at these. Also, again, 410 millimeter Sabos. What is the mouse going to do against that? Not really sure. Standard rounds, 286. Okay. And for some reason, the high explosive has like 100 millimeters of penetration. And high explosive penetration drops off at distance? I don't remember high explosive penetration dropping off at distance, but fine. I guess they're not modeling the HE after War Thunder, where it's like explodes on impact, right? It's just like, you know, World of Tanks equivalent, I guess, quote, equivalent penetration, right? But 100? That's kind of high, don't you think? But this is just what I don't understand. Why is it an IS-3? You know what would actually make more sense up here? A T-10. Because a T-10 has a gun that's very comparable to the M103. The T-10 is also a Cold War tank made around the same time as the M103. So those two make sense to go up against each other. And yes, technically the Mouse is a late World War II tank. However, it's so heavily armored that I think it can hold its ground against Cold War tanks, except it can't, because Bulldog decided that its higher pen round should be historical. Like in real life, heat rounds do have like 400, 500, 600 millimeters of penetration. For example, World of Tanks does not do that because it would make the game shit, right? You have these super ultra high penetration rounds. Sure, it's realistic, but it also means nothing has armor now. So for example, when I play the M103, I only fire the Sabos because going from 500 to 440 is kind of acceptable when you have 410 millimeters of penetration. And so, okay, here's what you really need to consider. The standard, we'll just call it, World Tanks terms, standard ammo does more damage. The gold or higher pen round does less damage. But here's what actually happens, okay? You load the standard ammo and you see like an M103. Okay, better shoot the cupola. There we go. You shoot the cupola and what do you hit? You hit basically nothing. You might catch a little bit of the gunner, or the commander, I should say. Although it doesn't even look like I hit him there. And so you'll do less damage because you didn't hit any internal modules, right? So you load the lower damage rounds. Well, you just shoot right through the fucking gun. Like you just go right through the gun, through all the crew, and I guess from the other side, if you shoot it from here, you hit the ammo as well. So you end up doing more damage. And okay, you can just go through the hull anywhere. And again, you hit a lot of crew, you hit ammo and the engine and whatnot. So the idea that gold ammo or higher pen ammo does less damage, in theory, yes, but in practice, you end up doing more fragmentation damage because you can go through more ideal sections of the armor. Now you could say, well, Chems, this is not World of Tanks. There's no hull down corridor map stuff. Instead, get people's sides and shoot the higher damage rounds. Well, as you've noticed, the mobility is so bad for even light tanks that flanking just doesn't happen. How are you supposed to flank? I mean, you saw in one of the clips me trying to flank, a Tiger 2 in the AMX. Before I even got to him, I spun out, and then I had to trundle my way to him, and I just barely got his side before he killed me. So flanking, forget about it. What you have to do, you have to load the higher penetration rounds and just shoot it right through the matlet, right? Just go right through it. Even out the back of the turret, because the penetration is so damn high. And so, yeah, this doesn't seem like very smart or well thought out balancing to me. In fact, I wonder if it's still the case. I don't know if it is still the case, but at one point, there is a, where is it? KV-122. 218, the IS-3, 211. Oh, so it's still the fucking K. Are you actually kidding me? Are you actually fucking kidding me? The KV-122, which is, I mean, look at this thing. It's, you know, kind of a low-tier tank, shoved up to tier 8s, fighting Tiger Peas for some reason. It gets 218 millimeters of penetration. You go up 2 tiers, your penetration has dropped. Now, sure, you get access to this newer round, but why even offer the first one? And why has the penetration dropped? Like, you could say somehow, oh, it's realistic because the IS-3M's gun breach, velocity, etc. But, like, it reloads in 9 seconds, so don't even pretend to care about realism. And I'm just not even going to load any of these shells. But then again, 230 pen? What the hell is 230 pen going to do against an M103 and a mouse? You just have to fire heat only, and accept the fact that you're only going to do 300 damage, and your DPM's going to tank. Alright. Guys, okay, honestly, leave a comment. Am I missing something, or does the IS-3 being shoved up to tier 10, getting ridiculous heat rounds that kind of break armor for other tanks, with a ridiculously fast reload, doesn't this seem kind of strange to you? Don't you think a T10 would fit this better? And then the IS-7 can be like a tier 11 or 12 or whatever, right? And so it all comes together in this replay that you're watching right now. It's me in a light tank versus 3 heavies. You would think the odds are in my favor. However, spotting doesn't really work. My mobility means nothing compared to these heavy tanks, and shooting, for some reason, doesn't go where I aim. And, for example, that VK just hits me on the move. So, to be honest, when you first play this game, it's, wow, brand new tank game. But when the novelty wears off, it actually starts to get rather annoying. And there are some other things here and there. They're not game-breaking, but I thought I would mention them. The UI, I just really don't like it at all. And I've seen a lot of you guys say the same thing. The UI is, it's like a geometric, simplistic UI. Which, I mean, people criticize World of Tanks for doing it. The reason is, if this is supposed to be a very realistic game, with realistic driving and realistic armor, why is it a very simplistic and geometric looking UI? I mean, what is this reticule? I'm gonna be completely honest with you. This thing looks ugly to me. Now, this criticism isn't really game breaking, but I will just thought I'd mention it. And as you can see from the background, we're actually climbing, which is very nice. That's a breath of fresh air. And actually, the Bulldog, and the Bulldog is the name of the person who is basically the CEO of this game, or the CEO of his company. He's making Steel Aces. Bulldog is the guy. He even says that he is a fan of climbs, and he has no problem with it. And as you can see from what you're watching here, if you can drive up something, you can get up there. Now, of course, the physics makes it exceedingly difficult. However, the option is there. And it's quite entertaining, actually, seeing where you can get to and trying to engage at long range and outplay your opponents that way. And in particularly, because of the nature of the closed test and that we're all in the same Discord together, in this actual clip, we've all coordinated, our entire team coordinated to go climb and try to mount a defense. It was very entertaining. It's definitely not your standard battle by any measure. But like, that's the kind of thing that we were looking for in this brand new tank game, right? A new, fresh community, new available options, no restrictions like World of Tanks, etc. And you know what? I'm just going to play some of the audio of this clip here.
We're having fun.
Wow.
Listen, guys, there's people crying about us doing the climb, by the way. There's people crying in general.
Let them cry. Who fucking cares?
Yeah, fucking
We'll see how they
shitters.
respond if they're trying to police us. Oh, you can't climb.
They're shooting the... Bro, guys, don't shoot the Yak Panthers.
Oh, that's the
They're
one that's the
friendlies.
raised gun. I want to see how the devs respond to this. If their immediate action is to block it off. You can see from all of these messages I've put, a lot of people's feedback that were positive about Steel Ace's closed test was the fact that there were climbs. A lot of people really enjoyed doing this. And if you don't see the appeal in it, I recommend you actually give it a shot for yourself, because it can really break up the monotony of playing on the same map over and over again, right? You drive to a new location that you're not maybe necessarily supposed to go to, and see if you can either have an advantage there or have any sort of different gameplay. So what were the developers' response to this? Well, we must now segue to the third part of this video, and it is the developers and how they look at the game, how they treat the community, etc. The devs removed the climbs, which is a bit of a bummer because not only were the climbs not really overpowered, because we end up dying a lot on these climbs, but it seems that the community likes it, but the developers don't like it for whatever reason. They even complained about us climbing.
Wargaming propaganda.
If you misconstrue what was said like this, then it sounds weird. In total, we just talked about the fact that we cannot really test the game if that one spot that we know needs to get removed is set in each game. That sort of defeats the purpose of what we want to test today.
Well, what is it that we're trying to test? Because we were testing the terrain and physics driving up there, and then we were testing the shooting when they got there and we started shooting at them.
Exactly.
What else is there to test?
For a few rounds, that is absolutely fine. But if the entirety of the second EU test consists of that, then there's like a saturation point reached.
He didn't answer my question. I asked him, what are you trying to test? Because presumably you want to test the game mechanics, right? And climbing tests all three game mechanics. Climbing these steep, rough terrain is like a stress test on the physics engine. And then sniping at long range. Can these shells be accurate and fly true, and does everything work properly, or does things get buggy at long range? Because sometimes that's what happens. And additionally, spotting. How close do they have to get to me before they spot me? Does going into the bush make a difference at such a long range? I really wish they just told me what they wanted to test specifically that we weren't testing by climbing. Now, you might look at this and think, Kems, what is this? Is this an exposed video? What are you trying to get at here? Right now, I'm starting with just the smallest offenses. They're barely offenses, right? Yeah, the Bulldog says he's in favor of climbs. Now he's not in favor of climbs. He lied or switched up or whatever. This is a promise that was not upheld. But throughout this video, you're going to notice the things that the devs do and the things I'm going to show you, they get a lot worse. And they start to get really bad. And towards the end, you're going to be disgusted. So be patient, please. One of the issues I've noticed, and I've left it to the developer part of the video and not the gameplay part of the video because I think it's more fitting, is that there seems to be some sort of German bias to the vehicles. And I know, really, Kems, German bias? Are you kidding me? What, because the development team is German, that means that the tanks have German bias? I don't know if that's true, but it certainly seems like the German tanks are a lot stronger. Like you saw in the earlier clip, the heavy tank was basically as fast as the light tank. All the Germans have really powerful guns, really strong armor, and very good mobility, and everything else just kind of sucks. And yes, the entire development team of Steel Aces are all German. Is that a coincidence? Maybe, maybe not. Does that mean they intentionally make the German tank stronger? Maybe, maybe not. But again, as we go deeper into this and I show you more and more things, you might start to think, oh, given how they conduct themselves, that might actually genuinely be true. So I'm not gonna harp on it. Likewise, there's another thing, it's kind of subjective, I'll admit. It's not like I could just throw you a screenshot and, oh, look at that. It's something you pick up over time, and that's the developers don't really care about your feedback, especially if they know you play World of Tanks. To them, if you play World of Tanks, you don't know anything about tanks, and your opinion is not worth considering. Again, I'll admit, how do I prove that? I can't prove that. This is something you pick up over time. But I'm just sliding it in there just for you to know. Now, let's move to the real things, the real meat and potatoes, okay? So again, I'm going to start with least offensive to most offensive. And here we begin. At some point, I suggested an HE mechanic. I laid it out, I showed the formulas, I showed the entire system how it works, I put it in the feedback channel. And I even said, the HE mechanic in Steel Aces works decently well, but maybe you can draw inspiration from this. I'm not commanding them that they have to use my system immediately right now. No, none of that. It's just I have developed my own HE system, and I thought, hey, you know, I may as well contribute in any way I know how. Here you go. You can look at it. Maybe you like the formula, or maybe you like whatever, right? There's no harm in a suggestion after all. So that's fine. They didn't make note of that, but later I made this. It's a joke. How do you know it's a joke? Well, read this. Devs, I had an idea. HE for Steel Aces. The explosion is a vector field, and the armor is a surface integral. It's ultra realistic and laggy. So this, as you can see, it's in the general chat, okay? I didn't put it in feedback. I'm not trying to waste their time. I just put it in the general chat. I didn't even at them. You might look at this and say, oh, I don't understand what this math stuff is. You don't need to understand. All you have to do is look at this and say, oh, okay, that's calculus. Calculus, it's going to be laggy for a computer to compute this in real time. That's why it's funny. It's an over-the-top, overly realistic system that's not necessary for gameplay, right? And, you know, it kind of coincides with what Steel Aces is doing, right? Overly complicated system for very little gain. That's the whole point of the joke. You know, some of the people found it pretty funny. This is one of the developers, this Christoph. He says, thank you. We'll implement straight away, smiley face. And then he put the /s to show that it's sarcasm because Redditors, right? Then another person said, he screenshotted what I wrote. It's ultra realistic and laggy. Approved. And, you know, I saw these people were receiving this joke pretty well, so I added on to it, right? I said, awesome. Next, we'll do shockwave fluid dynamics. You know, like an explosion, like overpressure type of thing. Lega asked, how is this going to affect the game, if I may ask? I said, lag. Because that's what would happen if you implement a over-the-top, overly detailed, hyper-realistic system, right? It's going to be laggy, so we use approximate systems that usually achieve the same result. Now, we have this jackass. His name is Speedy, and he is a repeat offender. You're going to see him a lot in this video. He responds to my added-on part of the joke about the shockwave fluid dynamics. He says, which, just like your previous suggestion above, serves no purpose and is entirely removed from what is actually happening under the hood. We are thankful for any actual feedback, but comments purely made to be ostentatious have no place here and are not the respectful environment we wish to have here under Rule 2. Okay. So I ask, how does this break Rule 2, which just says we expect respect and politeness, behave maturely, and respect each other. No insults, no hate speech, no harassment. So then he says, provocation is neither mature nor respectful. We ask you to refrain from such in the future. So then I ask, what am I provoking? And this random chatter in the Discord was just like, uh-oh, are we going to get banned for mentioning chems in this server too? Because really, from an outsider's perspective, it's like, what did he even say that was so bad? You're just attacking him because he's chems? Are we going to get banned for mentioning chems? This is a reasonable thing to wonder, considering wargaming, right? So then I put my foot down like, okay, you're going to need to shut up there, big guy, because Germans cannot take a joke, example number whatever. This post was not a suggestion. It was meant to be a joke because of how absurd such a system would be to implement, especially for a real-time video game. See, it's a joke. This is why I said, hey devs, instead of actually atting them, which would give them a notification, right? It would disrupt them. And why I posted it in general and not in feedback. Being a joke, I did not want to waste their time reading something absurd by putting it in feedback or actively drawing their attention by adding them. Calling it ostentatious is a bit of a self-report, as it's not meant to impress anyone, but meant to be humorous to anybody who's even a little bit technically inclined. The post was not inherently disrespectful to anybody. Do not lecture me on social conduct again, as I'm an adult and know how to behave in a public environment. I will not cooperate with people who intentionally misrepresent what I say. And so it's kind of funny because just, again, random chatters are like, put the mod in his place, salute. Nah, that's hella mod overreach. Chems only made a joke about development and this guy started lecturing him about how he can't do that. The mods need to learn how to control their power trip tendencies if they don't want to lose their community like what happened in the Watt server. Now, That is a truth nuke if I've ever seen one. And then this guy, he just cannot let go. He says, you cannot possibly begin your response by racially generalizing 80 million people, and at the end of it saying you uphold professional conduct. He didn't even respond to anything I said. He saw that whole thing, realized there's no way he can defend himself in this situation. He's absolutely in the wrong, and decides, oh, here's my get out of jail free card. I'm just going to criticize him for being racist. I just accused him of breaking Rule 2, and when he defends himself, I'm actually just going to ignore all that and call him a racist. And you know what's funny? This king, this Giga Chad right here, Franz, he just lays it out honestly. He says, being German myself, I really do not see an issue with the stereotype / joke that Germans aren't funny / don't get humor, because we low-key don't. Not because of a genetic disposition, but because of how our language and how our jokes work. It doesn't translate well. But I also agree with the second half of what Speedy said. Not that it really matters. In any case, I don't see any overreach here. And then I finally respond, the duality of man right here. Idealism versus realism. You cannot generalize this. It's not professional that. Versus true. And again, some other random chatter. He just says, overarching cultures that are unique to a single nation do exist. Clutching pearls doesn't mean a lot. Like no studio, other than a German studio, is going to make something like X4. And games like Supermarket Manager are stereotyped of having a German audience for a reason. Most countries have a significant difference in their cultures and the way that citizens behave in general. Which is true. I don't want to hear some tone police bullshit saying, that's racist, your generalization. Buddy, we are in 2025, okay? Our pattern recognition is at an all-time high. But look, here's what really kills me. You could watch this and say, okay, a mod went a bit apeshit for no reason. Does that really mean I have to hate Steel Aces now? No. It gets worse. It will keep getting worse till the very end of this video, because if we take a look at this message, which the Bulldog made a day after, we are well aware of these differences and work on, okay, blah, blah, blah. We have a full-blown simulator under the hood. So it's not just make track go other way, but I need to figure out and solve differential equations to capture dynamic behavior of all relevant components in the drivetrain. Differential equations, so calculus. Engines currently have individual curves, but the underlying curve type isn't that well suited for tank engines, so they don't capture the engine dynamics perfectly at the moment. I plan to swap it using characteristic torque curves based on engine type, diesel, Maybach, radial, and such, condensed from real engine data. Okay, who's being ostentatious now? Really, what the fuck is this? So you're giving me crap because I jokingly suggested a system that uses calculus, while you are using and solving calculus, that's differential equations, in the game already. This is not at all what's under the hood. What the fuck are you talking about? That is exactly what's under the hood. I made a joke about it, saying, oh, that would be laggy. Here Bulldog is after confirming that he has an entirely laggy system under the hood. Full-blown simulator. Really, a full-blown simulator? I thought this was supposed to be a cross between World of Tanks and War Thunder. You have fucking health bars, for God's sake. Why would you need a simulator for a tank game with health bars? And like the second part where he's talking about condensed from real engine data, okay? This sounds cool. In theory. Oh, wow, how accurate. And this means it's going to be good. Can we just take a step back and really think to ourselves, how is this going to improve gameplay? Condensed from real engine data. Does that mean you're going to go to a museum and like measure the tanks? Are you going to gather the tank data from engineers? Basically what I'm saying, are you going to waste a lot of time and money for something that doesn't matter? Are you? Just be honest, say yes or no. If that's the case, if the answer is yes, why are you giving me shit for jokingly suggesting a system equally as complicated? If the answer is no, why are you now solving differential equations in real time and using real engine torque curves or whatever? And don't bother ever bringing this up to him or any of the development team because you'll be brushed off as a retard. I will show you an example in a clip, and it's me criticizing the driving physics for the 100th time. because it's been this bad since the beginning of the first playtest to up until this point. And I'm not alone in this, okay? Plenty of other people, their biggest criticism of the game is that it's just too clunky. It's not fun, it's slow, it's boring. You even saw this in the funny moments. People were mentioning how they can't turn, they can't climb or drive or do anything for that matter. And so I keep pressing on the issue because I want it resolved, right? And here's the response.
Problem?
No, but like he wants it, it feels more realistic than something like War Thunder.
Yeah, but why?
For what reason?
H bars.
I like the HP bars.
No, you're not understanding what I'm saying. Why do you need driving physics more advanced than War Thunder if your game has health bars?
Yeah, you're talking about you want the game to be more arcade-wise.
Well, the Bulldog specifically said that it's not going to be like a simulator like War Thunder, but the driving certainly is.
Yeah, you're actually right.
Has the thought crossed your mind that the driving isn't finished?
Is it?
Yeah, the driving isn't finished.
I mean, like
the game isn't finished.
The game is far from finished, but listen.
It hasn't really
all that
changed
feedback-
from all the beta tests so far, has it?
We're not going to change how the game works from a base perspective, right? Driving physics aren't finished. A lot of vehicles
They're not finished.
have a different steering method, specifically regenerative steering, which is currently just not built because it's like you guys don't understand how game development works, right?
Oh yeah, I
I'm
don't.
not gonna blame for that.
I'm not
but
fighting that.
fundamentally, you don't understand that.
Well, I do.
And it's not just type. No, you don't. Right?
Yes, I do.
Thank you for your contribution to this debate.
I think that
The
guy
thing
is making a game
It's not
himself.
just typing around with a few numbers or turning on a switch and magically everything works, right? We need to
Yeah,
fully
listen,
model the
Bulldog, I'm not
drivetrain
saying-
for the vehicle, right? So, especially at higher ranks, a lot of the vehicles will be more responsive because the problem is right now they lose 50% of the power.
Okay, I'm gonna have to keep my composure here, but this really fucking pisses me off. You can even hear one of the guys said, I think this guy's making a game.
I think that
The
guy
thing
is
is,
making a game
it's not
himself.
just
Absolute Giga Chad. We don't know how game development works. We don't? There's like 20 people in this call, and you assume that we're all just smelly, stupid, unwashed masses, and you're the expert that we should just listen to all the time. Now, you, the viewer, you may not know who I am, or the things I do, etc. I don't expect you to have all of Chem's lore in the back of your head. However, I do actually know how to make a game. In fact, I'm actually quite good at it. Here you can see in the background footage, this is my tank physics system. I designed it. I programmed it into Unity myself. And it didn't take me 5 years to do it. It took me a week to do it. In this test world, you can see the tracks and the road wheels and how they contact the ground and how the tank moves up and down with the terrain. You can see also the tank is decently responsive. It moves the way you would expect it to. It's not clunky, etc. In fact, even discontinuous meshes can be traversed with my system. You will never bug out with my physics. My physics system is arguably, from a gameplay perspective, better than Bulldog's. And I'm not saying my system is more complicated. No, of course not. His system is very complicated, very realistic. It's a simulator under the hood after all. This clip you're watching right now proves that you don't need to do any of that shit. Bulldog's been working on his tank physics since like 2021. And you can see from this screenshot, tanks have like not been able to go uphill for all that time. Essentially, he's been wasting time and resources on a pipe dream, on a passion project, a fantasy game with overly complicated physics that actually end up, from a gameplay perspective, losing out to a simpler system. What really gets to me is like all this effort, all this overly complicated system. It's not like it's a little bit better than my physics. It's worse. I'm stuck here. All this time and energy for something that's worse. It doesn't end there. I made my own gun system with shooting, reloading, ricochets, penetrations, armor, etc. You could see here, I think it sounds pretty cool. Additionally, here's a world I've made. It's a rather primitive world. It took me about, again, a week to make it. In fact, if anything, I'm actually better at game development than the Bulldog is. Because looking at his tree system, it looks like he's using Unity's built-in LOD system. And I don't know if he is, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But the bottom line is that, look, the tree LODs switch, they flicker when you get within a certain range. They don't fade in and out. What you need to do is instead have one script controlling all the trees and fade them in and out with the shader. Specifically, you dither them, which is more performant. And as you can see here, when you move in and out, it switches between the two LODs smoothly. And the point of me telling you this, I'm not trying to show off and make you think I'm some sort of genius. It's to give myself a little bit of credibility, so that you know when I have a criticism or a recommendation, there's some merit behind it. I'm not just talking out of my ass. But that doesn't even matter. Because, okay, sure, maybe the people in the call don't know how to make a game, but when I say actually I do, why is his knee-jerk reaction to say, no you don't? Like he's offended by the idea that I'm making a game. Like he's supposed to be the smart programmer, and I'm supposed to be the stupid YouTuber. Do you think it's like an ego thing? It undermines his sense of self-worth if the stupid YouTuber can also make things at the same level he can? I don't know. But what I do know is that it's not like he doesn't know that I'm making a game. He does know. I mean, I offered him my HE mechanics free of charge. But also, any mention of the game is censored. And you know what's funny? Even if it's referencing a meme, it gets removed, and they shut it down and say, don't talk about other games. Which is very strange, because despite me working on my own game, I'm trying my best to help Steel Aces succeed. But they seem rather hostile to even the mention of my game, and I don't expect them to reciprocate my generosity, but why are they getting upset about the mere mention of it? Really? You think I'm trying to advertise to your Steel Aces Super Tester Discord of, what, 300 people? Really, you think I'm trying to poach a few players from that server? I have 120,000 subscribers. I don't need to advertise my game in your Discord. Is this a part of like an ego thing where it's like, oh, how dare he try to poach our players? I really don't understand. And you know what's funny is that all of this doesn't even matter. Because, okay, we don't know how to make a game. Let's say that's true. We don't have to be a rocket scientist to come to the conclusion, our own personal conclusion, that the physics suck. You drive, you hit something, you come to a dead stop. You don't have to be a genius Elon Musk programmer developer to criticize the game for not allowing you to go uphill or turn or do anything for that matter. Dear Bulldog, the physics suck. Well, you guys don't know how game design works. It's not just pressing a few buttons and entering a few whatever. That's not what we said. We said the physics sucks. Okay? You've been working on it for 4 years. Almost 5 now. We've gone through like 5 iterations of the closed test. And there has been like barely any improvement. It's still clunky and shit. So don't talk to me about, oh, well, it's actually really difficult. It actually really isn't, as you can see from the footage I'm showing you. And I'm going to be completely honest to you guys, a bit of a side tangent. Most things are actually not that difficult. A lot of people, they play up the things they do because it makes them feel smart, makes them feel important. I could sit here and tell you, oh, my physics system, oh, I worked so hard on it, man. It's so complicated. I had to solve differential equations and linear algebra. No, actually, it was rather simple. Just simple spring and damper forces, some logic on how the forces are applied. It's actually not that difficult. Most things in life are not that difficult. Unless you purposely make it difficult, which again, okay, we're wrapping back to Steel Aces. Overly complicated, needlessly difficult to implement. For what gain? You've gained nothing. In fact, you've lost. Because it's one of the biggest complaints people have. Okay, I know, I went on a bit of a rant right there, but what's the key takeaway? Why am I telling you all this? Okay, Bulldog makes a physics system that is overly complicated for very little gain. People complain that it's very clunky and unresponsive and quite frankly just frustrating. His response is that we don't know how game development works. I correct him and say, wait, no, I actually do know how game development works. And then without missing a beat, he says, no, you don't. Like, as if it's disrespectful to even suggest that I know how to make a game. As if our feedback is meaningless because, what, we're not developers? So like, again, chems, does this mean the game is bad? Come on, what? Okay, maybe the Bulldog's a bit of an asshole. I don't care, I just want to play a game that's good. Well, the physics kind of ruins the game for me and a lot of other players, but look, I understand what you're saying. So what, he's an asshole? Okay, fine. Remember, I'm giving you all the information so you can paint a picture in your head of what the Steel Aces development team is like. Remember, the video is going to get progressively worse, so I'll move on to the stuff that's worse, but I just want to slide this little message here. This person mentioned my artillery proposal video, and the Bulldog says, doesn't make sense on a tank-on-tank game, yada yada yada. We're not going to go ahead and start a fantasy just to get already into the game. Which is weird, because I didn't know artillery was a fantasy. I mean, the War Thunder has the M44 with a sniper. Like, you know, it's not like World of Tanks where there's a top-down, it has a sniper mode. Basically what I said in my artillery proposal video, right? This is what I'm confused, guys. So help me out here. He says it doesn't make sense on a tank-on-tank game. To me, that means he thinks I'm talking about top-down artillery. Because, yeah, I guess you could say top-down artillery view, that's not really a tank-on-tank game. It's not really tank gameplay. It's kind of different, right? But hold on a minute. Hang on. You guys know from my artillery video, I said let's remove top-down view and give them the sniper mode that all other tanks in the game have. Basically make them into a tank destroyer. And nobody's going to argue that tank destroyers are not tank-on-tank gameplay, right? So what's the point of me telling you this? Bulldog didn't even watch the video. He thinks we're talking about top-down artillery. He doesn't realize we're talking about sniper mode artillery. That's what was in the video. So he didn't watch the video, and he's explaining to us why we can't have my suggestion, even though he doesn't even know what I'm suggesting. Again, do you see? It's like, why do they conduct themselves this way? Is it because I play World of Tanks, therefore I shouldn't be listened to? Because why would you say fantasy when I'm suggesting a system that's pretty much the same as War Thunder? You're really gonna shut down the idea in a video that you didn't even watch? Okay, well, let's just move on. Okay, everything I'm about to show you, and for the rest of this video pretty much, all happened in one day. It really did just spiral out of control. So buckle up and let's begin. It all started with me seeing this notification. Sophie Lean is live at Aquino, which is a museum. And then followed up, there's a message, just a reminder, the Aquino Tank Weekend is sponsored by Steel Aces. So I saw this and I said, they're sponsored by Steel Aces? Yup. Like, Steel Aces is giving them money? I don't understand. They're using their limited funding on sponsoring a tank museum instead of developing the game? Or am I misunderstanding this? No. What do you mean by sponsoring? Don't you guys pay to sponsor? As it sounds. I have no details on this. I'm just a mod here. I'm not part of the actual Steel Aces team. And then some other people were like, pretty much my thinking, sure, well, I'm confused. Then I said, well, sponsoring implies financing. So then this mod says, there is a financial deal here. The Fox armored car being the first of the collector's vehicles will be returning a lot of income from the sales of that back to the museum, as well as some to Steel Aces. He follows it up. It's pretty neat. Means that there'll always be ways for folks who want to support both the game and a museum and preserve historical vehicles. And so, you know, I'm not so easily convinced. I say, okay, so this is future finances. What about at the moment? Has Steel Aces paid the museum in any way at the current moment? I know he said it earlier, but I'm really trying to clarify. I don't want to have any confusion at all, right? So then he says, I wouldn't know the details of that, nor would I expect them to give the exact details either, as that information is for the devs in the museum. And I said, well, if they don't tell us this, then we're left to speculate, which is bad for both parties. You should be upfront with how your funding is being used. Then this mod says, was Watt ever upfront with this? And I said, and Watt is a crap company that nobody trusts. And then at the bottom I say, so let me get this straight. Steel Aces paid the museum to be there, and in return, they hope this will sell Collector's Tank Fox, which they will also have to give a cut to the museum. Then this mod says, yeah, I'm gonna need to disagree to an extent, since there will be contractual clauses that will only allow certain details to be made public. No sponsorship contract like this would, in any logical way, be allowed for every detail to be made public. And I'm like, yeah, just answer the question, okay? I didn't ask for contractual details. I just asked you, are you giving them money? And then giving them also a cut of the revenue. And then this person asked, why do you care so much? And I said, I'll get to that, but clarify this. So I absolutely 100% understand. Again, I'm not trying to make false assumptions here. And then he finally confirms, that part has been confirmed on streams multiple times already, so yes, that is part of it. And then I say, right, okay. And you think the cut Steel Aces receives will pay for the sponsorship and give enough margin to be worth it? Because guys, they paid the museum to be there, and any money they generate from selling their collector bundle, they also have to give a cut to the museum. Honestly, to me, this doesn't sound like a very smart way to promote or advertise your game. So then I just straight up said, what an extremely ineffective way to market a game. And look, I even got a thumbs up, so you know, you take your wins where you can. And I said, what a complete waste of funds. This isn't 1985 where you need to do physical activities and events to garner attention. This is 2025, and the internet can reach an audience 1,000 orders of magnitude larger than any physical event could ever hope to achieve for a fraction of the price. Your marketing team is antiquated and should be replaced with Zoomers. And you could say, Chems, you're being mean, you're being a dickhead. Look, I'm telling you how it is. I want the best for the game, and if that means I have to put my foot down and say what I think, even if it doesn't sound too nice, I don't care. I will still say it. Have to agree with Chems here. This is very inefficient. You're promoting to a finite tailored audience, which you'd be lucky to get 5% custom from, and from one area. And then the mod says, are you sure? Seems to me that Watt had no issue doing the same. And then I said, Watt did ads and commercials, reaching Zoomers and Boomers respectively. And, okay, of course. Of course. As soon as you start criticizing them, and they don't have a counter-argument, they pull out old reliable. So I'm just going to ask politely that we stop this discussion. Okay. And I say it, I want what's best for Steel Aces, and I want it to succeed, which means I'm going to be extremely critical of everything you guys do. This isn't me being mean or being a bully, it's me telling you what you guys need to hear. Is that illegal to do? And then this person said, well, they can do it if they can afford it, and I said they can't. And then earlier he said, Chems, if you want what's best for the game, why don't you make a video on it? And I said, no, you can only make a first impression once, and I will save it for when the game is good to go, an open beta. Drawing attention to a closed beta that has issues is a great way to get an influx of people who literally cannot play the game yet and will get tired of waiting and leave. And I elaborate further, I suspect Bulldog released the NDA before open beta because the Steel Aces team are running out of funding. And the idea is that if they show it off to the world right now, they might get some more Patreon supporters or some more private investors, etc. And again, this is just my own theory. Why would you lift the NDA and draw attention to your game that people can't even play yet? I mean, people are going to forget about it in like a few weeks. Anyway, look at Old Dad. What a giga chad. He says, not gonna lie, this really sounds like they're just trying to take a shot at World of Tanks. Watt is almost always at these things, and since some of their people left for Steel Aces, they just want to shove it in their faces, so to speak. I think this was a waste of money on something pretty much useless at this stage of the game development. And did you catch that? It's true. A lot of World of Tanks employees that no longer work at Wargaming now work at Steel Aces, and that will become very apparent soon. For example, B-Ted is an ex-Wargaming employee. And look, another mod doubles down. I'm going to note that if you guys have any further inquiries, please put them in feedback and the devs look at it, blah, blah, blah. Basically, don't talk about it in general. And then this Old Dad, Giga Chad here. Not going to lie, sounds like you guys are trying to get it out of the general chat to hide it. I mean, it kind of does seem like that. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's how it seems. And then I say, wargaming moderators shut down dissent when it's critical of the game and or its developers. Let's not get defensive and instead acknowledge our feedback. Anyway, point is, I believe NDA was lifted too early because they needed to secure more funding. Funding that is being wasted currently. That's my 2 cents. And then old dad says, I agree. I think funding should be used on development of the game before sponsoring things like this, especially when there are better ways to get more attention out there. And then this, this absolute whale, this smelly, fat wargaming whale says, FYI, Steel Aces is proud to sponsor Aquino Tank Weekend, as we sponsored Militrax and have partnered with the National Armor, blah, blah, blah. Our relationship will allow for marketing opportunities. Also, requesting accounting data from any company will get you the same answer. Please, fuck off. Nobody asked for accounting data. Do not put words in our mouth. Do not intentionally misrepresent what we asked for so that you can defeat us with an argument that we didn't even make. We did not ask for any accounting data. We asked, are you giving money to the museum? And by we, I mean me. Don't worry, guys. You're going to get a lot more funny messages from this BTED guy. He's the one that I put the nerd emojis in the beginning that's like, try not to flip your allies. And oh my god, how obnoxious. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm being a dickhead. Let's move on. I move on to my next criticism. I said, also, Sophie is the official brand ambassador of Steel Aces. Strange pick, I don't know. Then this mod says, she's been picked for a while. And then right off the rip, I'm like, I say she's a strange pick, and then you respond with, she was picked for a while. And this is my honest reaction, right? And then this mod says, you are all free to speculate, of course, as long as it doesn't attack anyone or pressure for information. Pressure for information? What's wrong with asking for information? Anyway, just make sure to remember that without knowing the full picture about anything, you will likely not find the right conclusions. Yeah, no shit. That's why I literally say, help me understand, so I can come to the right conclusions. Anyway, look, I said, well, why have a specific ambassador to begin with? Because they can? Not sure what the problem is. So then I say this, I'm trying to understand. Is this like the Steel Aces equivalent of Commander AF? A face to associate Steel Aces with. Help me understand. At least Sophie can actually play the game, no offense to Commander AF. Okay. Sophie has skills that are very, very useful and is passionate about the game. Yeah, well, so am I, but I'm not brand ambassador. And listen, I don't want to be brand ambassador. I'm just trying to figure out what makes her so special. Again, I'm asking questions. Well, I'm not quite sure what those skills are. That's probably why I'm confused. And then the mod says, be it as it may, we are very happy with the way things are going, so no need to worry. And I say, well, that's not an answer to my question, but okay, if you like her, that's fine. Then this person says, she is a CC, just a CC, who gets to work with devs more often. And then I said, is that true? Is that the extent of ambassador? And then a mod says, networking is a skill. And I said, oh, so Sophie is excellent at networking, among other things, I'm assuming. And then this weird response, we won't give you details. Just like everyone in a small team, she absolutely pulls her weight and then some. And again, this is my honest to goodness reaction. We won't give you details. What's classified about this? This is confidential information? For the viewers at home wondering why I'm pressing on this, I'm not trying to be a dickhead, but Sophie's kind of washed, right? She's like kind of a has-been. Aren't there like War Thunder content creators that have like 1 million subs and pull millions of views? Wouldn't you want to make one of them your content ambassador? I don't know. Am I alone here? Be honest, leave a comment what you think. Sophie has extensive knowledge of tanks and other armored vehicles along with tanking history. She's also well known within the online tanking community, so it makes sense having her as part of the team. And then this, again, another random chatter says, it's your decision, but I reckon you would do better if you don't have her as a spokesperson for your game. Now this Pacific Hero moderator, he's actually like asking and curious. He's like, oh, and what makes you say that? And then the developer replies to the moderator, says, it doesn't matter why he says that. Since he doesn't have any internal information about our decisions, his opinion isn't relevant in that matter. Then I say, wargaming mod response, not gonna lie. We don't have the necessary information to have a relevant opinion, but you won't provide us that information. Didn't Incoming make a video on wargaming doing exactly that?
Because it's just yet another thing that's made me feel kind of discouraged. Suggesting good idea after good idea after good idea and repeatedly being met with, where is your data? Show me your data. By someone who you know will never show you their data is a slap in the face to anybody who would actually want to try making the game better from a community standpoint.
You are not owed an explanation to something that only infects us internally. You only have to know that we believe to have made the right decision. We kinda do if we are the ones supporting your game financially. Haven't even sold anything yet besides Patreon access. And like, okay, we haven't sold anything yet. Presumably, in the future, you're gonna monetize your game. That means we're gonna pay for your game. So just don't be a smartass with me right now, okay? Anyway, I argue. And what you believe to have made the right decision may in fact not be. And if that's the case, it would be useful to have feedback. And without information, you believe you'd be a better judge than us? Interesting. And then I said, no, I am requesting the information. Thank you for the request. You will not receive it. You are neither owed nor have deserved to ask about any of our internals, being that staff, funding, or anything else. Nor have deserved to ask? I deserve to ask questions? I can't ask why you chose this person to be your content ambassador, or if by sponsoring a museum you mean you gave them money? Or anything else for that matter? Why is that? What is so wrong about asking questions? If it's so bad, you can simply just not respond. But no, you did respond. In a very combative and upset way, like I've hurt your feelings or something. Okay, and you know what, guys? I have the answer, or at least I think I have the answer. This is not really based on any evidence, but I've been talking with the Bulldog for at least 4 years, and we talk a lot in voice calls, like 6-hour-long voice calls that we talk about Steel Aces among just basically anything. We talk about our lives for that matter. And he's brought up his ex-girlfriend multiple times, and I don't really like leaking people's DMs, and I pretty much never do it because it's a breach of trust. However, when you block me, the Bulldog blocked me, I kind of feel like the trust isn't there anymore, so it's fucking fair game for all I care. If you don't want your DMs leaked, don't block me. So, you know, I might be overreaching here. I might sound like a piece of shit for saying this, but it is my honest belief that Sophie Lean was picked because she reminds the Bulldog of his ex-girlfriend, who she sort of resembles. Yep. To be clear, in these messages, he's not talking about Sophie Lean. That's why I said it's not evidence. I'm creating a narrative that I think is true. There's your answer. And again, like the mod said, without the proper information, you are unlikely to come to the right conclusions. That doesn't mean we're not going to come to our conclusions. That means it's your responsibility to give us the information. You don't want to give us the information? I'll come to my own conclusion then. And you know, I kind of was a bit more blunt about it in my own Discord. Hey, look, I may be an asshole, but I'm not a liar, okay? Okay, so here we get to the worst part of the video, where things truly take a turn for the worst. It begins with me making the suggestion, you should model Whistling Diesel's Chieftain 1-to-1 with all the battle scars and things he did to it, and use it to try to get his attention, and maybe even model his Killdozer, although that wouldn't really have a place in Steel Aces. I assume you're already going to create the Chieftain, so this could be as simple as making a skin with some extra 3D stuff attached. Use Twitter to get people to bring it to his attention on your behalf. And then we started talking about it. The Mark 10, yes. And then I said, oh yeah, if you got this guy's attention, that would probably be very good marketing and it's pretty much free. Which, like, you might listen to this and think, Kems, that's a stupid idea. Well, it's low risk, high reward. If it doesn't work out, you've just made a skin that took you a few hours, that's it. If it does work out, millions of people see your game. I don't know, seems like a good idea to me. And I said, and yes, people in the USA can buy a Mark 10 Chieftain. And then this person says, is there something people in the USA cannot buy? And then I said blacks. I even said sorry for the edgy joke, but it's so true. And sure, it is a bit of an edgy joke, but I think it's harmless because I'm not really attacking anyone. I'm not putting anybody down or anything. But sure, yes, it's a slavery joke, so you could see people, you know, they found it funny, I guess. Like this person, technically, because yes, at one point you could buy blacks in the USA. Anyway, I got timed out for this for 24 hours. You can see here at the bottom. And this was right after the talk about Sophie Lean, so in fact, they overlap a little bit, but this person says, oh, they silenced chems, bruh. And then this mod says, no, just say timeout for the race-based joke above. So he didn't say it was racist, but he said it was race-based. Well, to me, it's just based, but I see where they're coming from. So fine, okay. You didn't like the edgy joke. I got the hint. And then this person says, come on, bro, it was edgy, sure, but I think a warn was enough. And then this person at the bottom, he has been given enough warnings and penalties for similar behavior. The silence is not long. First of all, no, I haven't gotten any warnings or penalties for I don't even know what behavior. But this is the first time I've been muted. So I don't know what he's talking about warnings. There's no warnings before this. He could be referring to a temp ban, but that's not really relevant to the game or even the moderators, but maybe I'll talk about it at the end of the video. But anyway, let's keep moving on. So I'm muted for 24 hours and I think, okay, whatever. Then like 20 or 30 minutes later, Nick @s me. He says, @chems, and then says, chems, enjoy the ban. So they banned me. Then this person said, what? Why the ban though? And then this person's so drunk off power, he mutes him for 24 hours. And then this other guy's like, a timeout for asking why? Lamau. Yeah, that's not a very good look, is it? And then someone said, what is this, a ban speedrun? And so he says he wasn't timed out for asking why. He was timed out for disputing chems' ban. In any case, this server is meant for testing only, not whatever the hell this is. And then people are saying, I'm confused. And it says, doesn't matter, it's been dealt with. And the person at the bottom, he gets it. Well, he was clearly testing something. Yes, yes, and the test has yielded results. And then this dork says, we reserve the right to ban people who repeatedly find it in themselves to break rules. Others have no issue following. Please explain to me what rules I've broken. Repeatedly. Sure, you could say the edgy joke was a breach of the rules. But what other rules were breached? Are you telling me my harmless joke about the HE mechanics was part of breaking the rules? That you're counting that? I have no doubt in my mind that he's counting that. You are free to ask difficult questions, criticize and critique at any moment. Those things will be a huge part of getting Steel Aces to where we all want it to be. Keep in mind that respect and politeness outlined in Rule 2 applies to any racial jokes / discrimination, as well as low blows and harassment of any member, staff or not. Respect and politeness. That's rather vague. And then we keep going. Any racial joke. Okay, sure. / discrimination. Yeah, I don't think there was any discrimination here, but whatever. As well as low blows. I don't know who he's referring to. I don't know who I've attacked or a low blow. I mean, like, Speedy, I could have called you a sped, but that would be a low blow. However, it would be a funny one because it matches your name and how you act. And you know what? From henceforth, I think I'm just going to call you sped because that's kind of what you are. And then Cactus comes and he says, so you restrict him in the beta server, then complained when... And basically, he was defending me. And then he said, we first issued a temporary ban to someone for breaking our rules, but still allowed them to participate in the test. Since then, no reflection occurred. Infractions and warnings have been brushed off as performative virtue signaling. Since the issue has not improved, racial comments and inappropriate things still were repeatedly said, and low blows to members were made, the ban was expanded. Nick acted, and the mod team is behind his actions. Okay, so the temporary ban and performative virtue signaling, I will touch on later, because it's really not relevant to the game or the mods themselves. But here, look, this is where I find it strange. Since then, no reflection occurred. Reflect what? You know, these guys, they truly believe they are the moral authority of everybody. And if they think you've done something wrong, it's indisputable. You have wronged. You are amoral, and you should reflect on what we say. It's basically the liberal mindset. And I reject this altogether. You are nobody to question me on anything, especially when you lost your shit over an HE joke. So no, I don't need to reflect on whatever it is you have a problem with, because you are a retard, and I don't concern myself with the opinions of retards. It's that simple. And when you say since the issue has not been improved, racial comments and inappropriate things, low blows. Okay, hold on a minute. Let's take a breather. It was a edgy joke, and that was pretty much it. Nothing else was really attacking you, or there were any low blows. I reject this altogether. You are completely making this up. And it turns out, according to this person, whom I trust, because they have been correct thus far, and I have no reason to doubt them, says the Steel Aces developers and moderators genuinely think I was rage baiting them. They think I came here to troll and rage bait them. My questions about the game and how it's being handled? Rage bait. And only a dumbass can come to that conclusion, to be honest. Who the fuck gets a normal question and says this is rage bait? And then Nick, decisions by the staff are final and not a basis for discussion. I love this, man. It's so funny. They literally say you can criticize and critique our game, except decisions by the staff. You can't critique decisions by the staff. Hold on a minute. The staff include developers. So you can criticize and critique the game, but the decisions are final and you cannot discuss them. And then this person says, thanks for the response. I'm only aware of 2 racial comments, the one about Germans not having any humor, and the one that you can't buy blacks in the US. Former, sure, okay, you're almost all German, and it's a big part of your player base is German. Okay, but the latter, and the fact that it said to be the actual reason for his ban, sounds like an excuse. It's true that you cannot buy black people in the US. His message wasn't showing a disappointment in the abolition of slavery, so what's the harm? I'm not sure about low blows, unless the messages have been deleted, but I've only seen him criticize the whole museum partnership, which I personally like, though I agree it's not an effective form of advertising, considering the lack of youth in such events, and say that the mod was giving a wargaming response. I believe he is genuinely interested in the game and can be a very useful asset considering his audience, which I would say has contributed more just from name dropping than most full-on videos on the game, though there is no way of proving or disproving that. And then as a response to Nick, he says, ban me then, I don't know. I'm not here in bad faith. And you know what? I love these guys. I love these guys that really, they stick their head out and they stand up for what they believe. They're not afraid of being banned off some fucking Discord server. If they see bullshit, they will speak up. I wish more people were like this. And then here's what I absolutely love. On the other end of the spectrum, you have the mindless slave drone goy cattle, such as this person. Genuinely incredible in how Cams and his fanbase are hellbent on destroying literally every imaginable tank game. What the fuck? Destroying the tank game for asking questions, and apparently my fanbase, who I've said, hey, check out this game. It's gonna be good. Apparently they're also destroying it. And literally the message prior, Cactus was like, hey, Chem's just name dropping this got so much positive attention to the game. And now this person saying my fans are destroying it? Right, okay. These people genuinely do not think for themselves for one moment. You can see it every time a mod says something retarded, they give him the thumbs up. They love to appeal to authority so strongly. I guess because they were conditioned from school, right? But what are you going to do? Then this person replied, we will not be banning you. You have not been aggressive or combative. Thank you for the calm response. I will send you a DM. Let us continue there so this will not become a discussion. Guys, I've been aggressive and combative. Really, this whole thing boils down to hurt feelings. I criticize their shitty decisions, and they're so insecure, instead of defending them, they ban me. And then they call it aggressive and combative because, oh, heaven forbid someone, even if I was aggressive or combative, it's a Discord server. It's like words. You can just not read it. You know, that classic meme, the cure to cyberbullying is turning off your fucking computer. It's kind of true, though. It gets even worse, though. I love this here. Some random guy, Hellhound, okay. Also, devs, if large swath of the Watt kids come over, don't cater to them, don't give in to their demands, let them cry and maul and piss themselves over no arty or experimental super duper 5 millimeter gun, totally real napkin tanks created my comrade. I think something short-circuited in this guy's brain. I mean, my brain certainly short-circuited just reading this. And you know what? Quite frankly, I don't have any evidence for this. I personally think this is Bulldog's alt. Again, you don't have to believe me on this. I wouldn't be mad at you if you didn't believe me on this. But again, I've talked to Bulldog for years and years, and he's the only person that makes jokes like this. The like super absurd, where he says experimental super duper blah blah blah, totally real napkin, comrades are. This is like exactly his kind of humor. And I have not seen humor like this from anybody else related to Steel Aces. Editor's note. While editing this video, the thought literally just occurred to me. This guy's name is Hellhound. Is that a like play on words from Bulldog? Hellhound, Bulldog? Oh my god, it's an actual conspiracy. What if I'm right? If I'm right, I reserve the right to call myself a genius henceforth, okay? And actually, looking at this zoomed in photo, the profile picture is a like curvy furry. If this really is Bulldog's account, then...
What a sick joke! I should have stopped him when I had the chance. And you have to stop him.
But it doesn't matter, okay? Kems, this is just some random dumbass. Who cares what he thinks? Well, do you see the little reaction? Who reacted to it? The Bulldog. The Bulldog reacted to it. Why is it such a big deal the Bulldog reacted to it? Well, it's because this is a completely straw man argument endorsed by the CEO of the game. Okay, first of all, what kids? But secondly, let them cry and mauled about arty or experimental super duper gun. I don't think anybody was crying about this. I don't think this was my criticisms. In fact, my criticisms was poor financial management for the museum promotional stuff, and why Sophie Lean of all people was picked. Nobody mentioned artillery or super duper whatever napkin tanks. Nobody said this. It's a straw man. And the Bulldog responded to it positively, which means the Bulldog doesn't actually care about the truth or what was actually being argued. He only cares that someone is glazing him. And so, look, whether this is actually Bulldog's alt account or not is irrelevant. If it is his alt account, he's calling me a Watt kid, which means he doesn't respect World of Tanks players and their opinions. And if this is actually truly just some random chatter, he still endorses what he says, in that I'm a Watt kid asking for bullshit. It actually doesn't make a difference at all. But let's assume this is actually a random chatter. He only cares that someone is glazing him. And quite frankly, I just find this repulsive, that genuine criticism gets you banned, sucking their dicks gets you appraisal. And now you might say, Kems, they literally said they banned you for the racist comment, okay? He literally said that, you made it, you even acknowledged it was edgy. Why are you saying they banned you for criticizing the game? Well, it's actually quite simple. If this comment or this joke was so brazen, racist, degenerate, horrific, that a mute wasn't enough, okay? They muted and then they were like, oh, okay, no, this is so bad. We gotta ban this person, that's it. This is just too much for us. Why didn't they delete the comment? If this comment is so offensive it warrants a ban, why isn't it deleted? They didn't delete it. I mean, you can see here, as of September 25th, this joke is still here. So, I mean, hey guys, actually, if you're watching this video at the time that it comes out, you should quickly hop on the server, assuming you're in it, and see how long before they delete it. They were more concerned with banning me than actually deleting the thing that was problematic. So, I'm just gonna tell you what happened, okay? They saw this joke. The guy said, okay, that's kind of in poor taste. I will mute him for 24 hours. It's not really something you would ban someone for, but I'll mute him to get the hint. 20 or 30 minutes later, Nick, this fucker, was like, this seems like the perfect opportunity to ban chems, and then we could use this as an excuse. We obviously don't like all of his questions, and the fact that every time he asks a question or constructively criticizes the game, we get multiple people in the community also agreeing with him and building on. You know, they're questioning it even more. Like old dad said, this could be a shot at what? I never thought of that. I didn't know this, but I could see it. So he's problematic. We want to get him out of here, but we can't ban him for criticizing us, okay? That would be a horrible look. But we could ban him for racism. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we could do that. And so, you know what? We're so excited that we could finally ban him. I'm going to say, @Chems, enjoy the ban. Oh, finally we got rid of him. Great stuff. I sure hope he doesn't make any video showing all of this. And here we have some people actually defending me, like Lega or Leja. He says, I get called a terrorist on a daily because I'm somewhat Arabic, Moroccan. In my opinion, it's not like I'm offended. Well, I'm about to offend you, okay? You're Moroccan, so you're not an Arab. You are an African. That means you get the N-word pass. And what's that joke they always say? What separates man from animals? The Mediterranean Sea. I heard that joke before. You want to call that a racist joke? I say go fuck yourself. I'm also the so-called animals, and I'm not even Arab because I don't think people from the Levant are true Arabs. Anyway, this person says, I'm white as fuck, and you wouldn't believe how much racism I've experienced in my life. At some point, you just gotta ignore the idiots and embrace the actually funny jokes. Yep, this is called going outside and being a well-adjusted adult. And then this random liberal bitch, Zoe, says, no you don't. Yeah, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? No you don't. What's up with these people, like, really? Anyway, he said, yes, you do, lol. Question mark. And then they go on to say, you do not face any systemic racism if you're white. And you know what? This actually offends him. Lol, what? You want to tell me how my life was? When my dad died, I was bullied by all the French people around me because he was German. I had classmates come up to me and say, did you hear the good news? Adolf finally died. And that was just the tip. Fuck off. You know nothing about the world, and it shows. Wow. And this fucking idiot says, that's not racism. Hey, Mr. Densen... Okay, your name's backwards. Get out of here. If it's any condolence or consolation, French people, they're not even people. So who cares what they think? All right, boys? You know what? Side note. Steel Ace's development team has made me racist towards Germans. Literally. Unironically. So there's that. Anyway, they get into a whole ass argument, and the whole time I'm looking at this, I'm banned, but I'm viewing through a alt account. Literally this GIF exactly. Like, this is top 3 chems GIFs of all time. I love it. But this is, I'm looking at this, like, with this exact facial expression. But then, it eventually resulted in them getting muted. Both of them getting muted. Which is very funny. I make a joke that's not racist and doesn't offend anyone. And I'm banned for racism. This woman makes a racist statement, and it's not a joke. She was being 100% serious about it. She actually does offend someone, and she just gets a timeout, which realistically is just a slap on the wrist. So, with that double standard, and the fact that they didn't even delete my message, kind of proves that the message itself wasn't actually that problematic to them. They just wanted to ban me for all the other things, my repeat offenses, supposedly. And what are those repeat offenses? Asking too many questions. Criticizing the mods, or the developers, or anybody, when I felt as though they made a poor decision in the best interest of Steel Aces. It's not like I want the game to fail, so I'm spewing a bunch of bullshit to annoy them. I'm trying to see what would be the best for Steel Aces. And blowing all your money on your museum, and making Sophie your content ambassador, honestly, to me, doesn't seem like the best for Steel Aces. So, okay, Chems, get out of here, Chems. You were being racist, and they banned you, and now you're mad. Okay. I refuse to accept that it's racist. It could be considered edgy. Sure, I won't even argue with that, it's edgy. Racist, though, is calling your own black developer a nigger. Yeah, think that might be racist. If you're willing to stretch the definition of racism to cover my joke, then there's no excuse for this, what you're looking at right now. This is just blatant true racism. And so, again, you could be an annoying troll and say, Chems, you use the N-word all the time. You're really going to pretend to be offended by it? No, I'm actually not offended by it at all. I'm offended by the double standard. I'm offended that you would call my joke racist while your own fucking CEO says shit like this. And you know what's the best part? Is that he's actually more racist than me. And I'll prove it to you. Guys, when I say the N-word, why do I say it? It's because someone annoyed me. Someone. Doesn't matter who. I could be playing World of Tanks, and an artillery hits me. Or I get sniped by some base camping TD. Or some jackass in a 2684 YOLOs me. Then I say, what a n***er. However, that has nothing to do with black people. It's just a slur to use when I'm upset. So, in a funny way, I use the N-word based on the contents of someone's character as opposed to the color of their skin. Bulldog sees a black person and immediately calls him a nigger. It's race-based. I don't know how else to put it to you. And the best part is that he's trying to tell me, oh, it's okay. He's cool about it. He's chill. He doesn't care if you call him the N-word. And I responded, yeah, but I wouldn't. Because to me, the N-word is not based on your skin color, but entirely based on your actions. And I'm not going to use a offensive slur on someone that I don't have to. If they don't annoy me or bother me, then I'm going to be respectful to them. If anything, really, Bulldog is the nigger. It gets even worse than this, because you could say, okay, he created a hypothetical sentence that you, as in Chems, could say to him that would not offend him. He didn't necessarily call him the N-word to his face or whatever. Oh, but he did. So if you're looking at this screenshot, you might think, oh, well, okay. I don't see anything wrong with this. What's the offensive part? Well, he deleted the offensive part. He really thought he could go back there and, you know, kind of take this out and, oh, Chems might do a hit piece on me, so let me just delete all this stuff right here. Did you really think that was gonna work? Against me, of all people? And it just blows my mind. It really blows my mind. How many times do I have to expose people before they realize they cannot hide anything from me? You really thought you were gonna be clever and outsmart me by deleting this message? You really thought I wouldn't be able to retrieve it? Do I look like an amateur to you? You know what? I genuinely think, and this will make me come across as an arrogant asshole, but look, this is what I genuinely think, okay? I think the Bulldog has never met anybody in his life that's smarter than him. That's why he's so arrogant. Until now. He's finally met someone that's smarter than him, and he doesn't like it. He doesn't like it one bit. It hurts his ego. That smarter person being me. And look, I understand. You hear this, you think, Chems, what are you talking about? What are you being a jackass for? You think you're some big tough guy? Fine. You don't have to believe it. I don't care if you don't believe it. This isn't evidence. This is what I think is the case. So, he literally says, I told my black programmer, you gonna be my gold nigger, after he made a joke about gold diggers. He took it well too. He's a chill guy. What do you mean he took it well? Did you think he was not gonna take it well before you said it? Were you gauging your friend? You just said it, and then he was chill about it. What if he wasn't chill about it? Now you're just a racist. And again, I don't care about the N-word, but I care about hypocrisy and double standards. I also care about the fact that you tried to hide it. You didn't own up to it. You didn't be honest about it. You tried to hide it. I'm not surprised. I mean, anybody would try to hide it. But to think that I wouldn't be able to find this, like, we're just not operating on the same level of mutual respect as I was hoping, really. And look, if anything, at all, okay, here's my message to Bulldog. Sit down, behave, and listen to someone better than you. There we go. That's it. Kems, what makes you think you're better than him? I'm not a liar. I don't hide my actions. I own up to them. We are both electrical engineers. However, he can code C#, I can code C#, 3D model, 3D render, video editing, electronics, etc., etc. I know, I'm so amazing, guys. Aren't I just the coolest person in the world? But in all seriousness, look, I'm trying to figure out what's going on in their heads. Really, I think, given by how these people conduct themselves, they have a pretty inflated ego. And if I, the stupid YouTuber, come in and start asking the hard questions, pointing out bad things and bad decisions they've made, they take personal offense to it. That's the funny part. They are personally offended by my questions. They call it aggressive and combative for asking questions. There's obviously some emotions going on here. And I don't know what emotions those would be other than feelings of inferiority. Maybe I'm looking too deep into it. I don't know. I'm just going based off of my intuition, which, to be quite frank, hasn't really failed me thus far. Also, side note, if you look at the chat at the bottom, I said, well, yeah, what was this? And he says, a log from the mod. And then you can see the attachment, Watt mod test log. So, do you guys remember like 2 or 3 years ago when I made my Is Watt rigged video? And I said I had a mod that tracked a variety of parameters in the game, and I used that information to determine that it was not rigged? Well, at the time, we didn't know if it was rigged or not, and we wanted to find out, because if World of Tanks was rigged, truly rigged, and there was some underlying mechanism exploiting people and giving you unfavorable conditions, then we could expose it, and then give you Steel Aces as an alternative. This is a project that me and the Bulldog worked on together. However, I did not find anything about World of Tanks that was rigged. So, yeah. Although it would have been in both of our best interest for me to lie about World of Tanks and say, oh, it is actually rigged. Look at all the data. Look at the mod. I'm credible. And to all those that think I'm not a reliable source of information, I didn't lie. I hope this small thing here demonstrates that I'm at least credible, and I'm not the evil, conniving schemer that everybody seems to think I am. Here's a little side tangent. I was banned off Sophie's stream. You see the reason, it's not like I said anything offensive. And these messages were months ago. I said W game and are the devs here? Because this was before even the first playtest, and I was just, you know, W game, it's finally out there. And then I had some questions for the developers. So, Bulldog basically went to his girlfriend Sophie Lean and said, we need to ban Kems off the stream. Because it wasn't enough to just ban me off the testing Discord, the Steel Aces closed test Discord. They also have to ban me off the main Discord. Each one of them has to block me. And now we need to ban him from even the stream. This is like a full-blown cancellation. And for what exactly? What exactly is the reason? You say racism, but the racist comment wasn't deleted, so it obviously didn't bother you or anybody else that much. Other people are racist and they only get a slap on the wrist. They say you have a history of breaking the rules. Like what, breaking rule 2 for making a harmless HE joke? No, the real reason is pretty clear, right? I ask too many questions, and that leads to other people asking too many questions, and they're just not comfortable answering them. And you know what? You could take nothing from this video, but take the following. This short, very short interaction kind of just shows it all. It's so indicative of Steel Aces and the developer and the CEO Bulldog. It starts with Vorsimo. And Vorsimo's a great kid, man. You need to subscribe to him right now. But look, basically, he put the Steel Aces logo in AI, and even AI said it kind of looks like, you know, a bit of a sexual innuendo. And then, so he posted it, and the Bulldog said, oh, okay, well, I guess AI will, yeah, whatever. He tried to brush it off. And all Vorsimo did was say this. Not great that Steel Aces abbreviates to SA2, right? I mean, like, it's a penetrative image with the abbreviation SA, as in sexual assault. And, like, this comment, it's not, like, offensive or argumentative or anything. He's literally just stating a fact. He says, I guess, you know, it's not great that it abbreviates to that. Are you gonna disagree with this and say, oh, it's actually fantastic? No. So what does the Bulldog says? He says, so are you suggesting we change our name and logo because you don't like it? We'll be right at it, sir. Bulldog, shut the fuck up, you stupid bitch. You are acting like Ikeboo. Okay, this is Ikeboo argumentation. Vorsmo never said, you need to change your logo right now. All he's stating is that SA is not a good abbreviation. And you are creating an argument to fight against. An argument that doesn't exist. He said, so are you suggesting? No, he didn't suggest that. He didn't. Shut up, you stupid bitch. Then Vorsmo, he's like, okay, I'm going to play this off as a joke because it's pretty absurd. He says, you better be, exclamation points. That's obviously a joke. And so, Bulldog saying, we'll be right at it, sir, is a sarcastic remark to a serious statement. So Vorsmo returns the favor. He says, Steel Narcissist would work in my opinion. And then the Bulldog says, if you have feedback, feel free to share it. But vaguely insulting the dev team over some chip on your shoulder, ain't it, buddy? Hold on a minute. Hold on, you dumb fuck. He literally did give you feedback. He said that SA, being the abbreviation of Steel Aces, is not great. He gave you feedback, and then you responded sarcastically. So then he responds sarcastically, and now you're saying, oh, time out. You can't be conducting yourself this way. How much of an asshole do you have to be to act like this? How much of a narcissistic, pathetic asshole do you have to be for your mind to not see or recognize the obvious double standard that you are making and stop immediately? And I think Vorsmo is like 16 years old. I'm not totally sure, but how the hell is the 16-year-old more mature than this 26-year-old fucker engineer, apparently? He's an engineer. And you know what? These developers, they're just, to be quite honest, this might come across as mean, but they're just autistic. Like, they have antisocial tendencies. They're Redditors, right? The Steel Aces is a Redditor's take on a tank game. But anyway, Vorsmo, fantastic. I love this guy. He says that's pretty anti-Semitic, not gonna lie. Which is it's just bullshit. This has nothing to do with Jews or anything. He's being a dickhead as a response to Bulldog being a dickhead. And then they just ban him. Nick just goes ahead and bans him for that. Saying that gets him a ban. And you know what? This led to one of the funniest memes of 2025, okay? It's this right here. Vorsmo posts, worst bait ever, forced to leave the Steel Aces Discord. Dude, it's it's bad when the funniest shit about your game is clowning it. It's yeah. What the fuck is the matter with these people? You might watch this and think, hey Cams, are you trying to slander and discredit Steel Aces because you're working on your own game? Is that the whole gist of this? And you know what? I wouldn't even be mad at you for thinking that, because that makes sense. However, it's a lie. This is not true, and I'll explain it to you why. I wanted Steel Aces to be successful ever since the Bulldog first approached me in 2021. That's right, he approached me. He said, hey, look, I'm working on this new game, tank game, and it's going to be great. Are you in? And I said, yes, I am interested. And then for years, we've been discussing it. I have been in it since the beginning. I literally have like version 0.001. I was involved long before any of you were. I've tried to contribute in any way I knew how ever since the very beginning. So back in 2021 and 2022, that was video editing and by extension, photoshopping. And so I tried to contribute that way. Of course, video editing wouldn't really come into play just yet because there wasn't really any minimum viable product to show off. Although later you can see my disgust in the comments about the trailer that did come out because it looked rather amateurish, and I was just wondering, hey, that's kind of why I'm here. I don't know who made this, but they didn't do a very good job, and I don't know. Maybe you could get the guy who made the Watt documentary to make a trailer for your game? Don't you think that would be beneficial for your game? For crying out loud, I specifically requested a certain type of free cam. Like in the picture on the right, he added depth of field. the like blurry background but in focus foreground type of effect. I requested that so I could make a trailer with it. However, that's besides the point. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Back then, what I could do for him was Photoshop. And so I Photoshopped him a rudimentary UI. And he did use some parts of it. For example, in that other screenshot I showed earlier, that health bar was made by me. Or for example, the Steel Aces logo, not the logo itself, but the 3D version, I made that for him. So, although minor, I tried to contribute in any way I knew how. Then came 2023, and around 2024. I actually learned Blender and how to 3D model. And not just modeling, but also rendering. So I used that knowledge that I've gained to, again, try and aid Steel Aces. So what I did is I made these wallpapers that you're looking at right now. These are made by me. And the tanks that are being shown are actual Steel Aces models. So there's that. I tried to help in any way I knew how. And then again, within the last few months, I've learned Unity and C#. And by extension, I was able to create my own HE mechanic and then offer it to Steel Aces free of charge. So every time I learn a new skill, I try to apply it to Steel Aces. So I do want the game to be successful. And what am I met with? I am met with condemnation, disregard, name calling, like they're calling me a Watt kid, muting, banning, and blocked. Because what? I asked too many questions? How disappointing. How absolutely disappointing that after all this, it all falls apart just like that. It would be one thing if the game was bad, but the developers were good and they will try to make it better. Or the game was really good, but it had kind of shitty developers. But they don't have either of those. The game is extremely boring to play, and the developers are extremely arrogant, incompetent, and for lack of a better word, bigoted. And it all comes down to PR. He mentioned earlier he has a PR manager. So, let me ask you a question. Why is it that, despite having the most subscribers in the Discord, I never got the content creator role? Why is it that Bulldog never actually offered me access to closed beta testing? I had to fight for it tooth and nail like everybody else. Why is it the Bulldog went on personalized videos/streams with Sophie Lean and Kaizu, but not me? Why is it that I'm rejected from every single aspect of the game, indirectly, and then all of a sudden directly? Why is it that in a private call, B. Ted asked me, hey, you're not going around telling people you worked on Steel Aces, are you? I wish I recorded that call, but I didn't, out of respect, but that is what he said. It's because of optics. Chems equal bad. We cannot associate with chems, according to the PR team. And Mr. Fat Fuck B. Ted ex-Wargaming employee, as a matter of fact, I have worked on Steel Aces. Now, it might not be that much. In fact, I might have contributed the least amount out of anybody. However, I have contributed. There's no denying that. Hey Bulldog, small thing buddy, did you forget that the smudge texture in the sniper mode was sent by me? You asked me for this. You want to act like I didn't contribute? However small it may be, I still technically contributed. And you can see here, you compare the two images, yes, I sent him this. So if people say, Chems, have you worked on Steel Aces? It would not be a lie to say that I did. And you know what? I've never actually claimed to ever work on Steel Aces. I never said I was a developer or contributed or anything. However, given how afraid you are of me being associated with the brand, I think I will now say that I did actually help develop Steel Aces. And this is not a lie. You know what, Mr. Bulldog? Since you've tried so hard to cancel me from your game, I think I might just return the favor. So, if you don't mind me, let me just show you that Bulldog is transphobic, fatphobic, Islamophobic, and racist. Oh boy, your PR manager is gonna love this one. And again, I do not care about any of these messages. They don't offend me at all, and they don't matter to me at all. But I think they do matter to someone. But if you think associating with me is gonna damage your reputation, what do you think alienating is going to do to me after you've soiled your own reputation? And you know what? To touch on the whole my game versus Steel Aces and the accusation that I have a vested interest in my game becoming popular and whatever, it's not even my game, okay? I call it my game because it's sort of easier to understand. It's a game that has my mechanics implemented in it, but I didn't make this game. Actually, the story behind it is quite similar to the story behind Bulldog. It actually mirrors it pretty well. So in 2021, I made my Why World of Tanks Sucks video. And that specific video led the Bulldog to approaching me. That's literally how it happened. And since then, I've been invested in Steel Aces and I've tried to contribute. So guess what happened a few months ago? I made my Watt Reform video, and then another developer named Otter approached me. Yeah, Bulldog and Otter. Well, I don't know what's up with these animal names, but Otter approached me exactly the same. He says, I'm making a game. I'm using your ideas. Are you interested? And I said, yes. So while the Bulldog pretends to be my friend, but in reality ignores my suggestions, says I don't know how to make a game, is disrespectful, mutes, bans, blocks me, and that's just not enough for him. He's got to ban me off everything, like Sophie's stream, and who knows what else I'm banned off of. Otter, on the other hand, he makes me co-developer. He actually puts me on the development team and says, Kems, add whatever it is you want. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to learn Unity and C#, and I will. And that's exactly what I did. So it's not like a me versus them. It's two thems, if that makes sense. Two different people approaching me with their game idea. One pushes me aside, rejects me, and disrespects me. The other one welcomes me. So, you know, obviously I'm going to go with the one that respects me. What's the confusion here? So yes, this is technically not my game, but I refer to it as such so it's easier for people to understand. Because the game that Otter is making is like, it's pretty much unknown right now. And it's probably going to stay like that for a few months at least. So don't worry about it for now. So what is my conclusion on Steel Aces? Well, if you remember at the beginning of the video, I said Steel Aces is a combination of World of Tanks and War Thunder. It's the best of both worlds. Well, I'm going to retract that statement and replace it with this. Steel Aces has the worst aspects of both games, World of Tanks and War Thunder. Because, for example, it has War Thunder physics, but worse. The driving is clunky, you can't get anywhere, it's inconsistent, etc. It's also got volumetric armor, with normalization, internal shot deviation, etc. Which means you don't really know if you're going to penetrate a tank's armor or not. There are too many variables to take into account, and they don't explain any of these mechanics. So it really just comes down to hoping for the best. And on the other hand, you have World of Tanks mechanics like health bars. Along with that, you have spotting, being World of Tanks. Either a tank is rendered or not rendered, and it depends on some numbers, right? Spotting and camo. But it also has World of Tanks' accuracy mechanic, right? Like 1-to-1. It has aim time, dispersion factors, and dispersion at 100 meters. Which means your shots are not actually perfectly accurate. They do have RNG to them, and it's quite noticeable RNG, as you saw from the previous clips. And for what? You have all of these downsides. For example, War Thunder's realistic armor with the volumetric armor and the internal deflection and all that. You have all of this modeled in the game, and, you know, in War Thunder, at least when you penetrate a tank after aiming well, you one-shot them. Right? You get the satisfaction of one-shotting them. And if you get one-shotted yourself, you just respawn. But in Steel Aces, you go through all these hoops, choosing the right ammo, aiming at the right spots, learning all of the game mechanics. For what? To just chip away a little more of the person's health? And it all wraps together to be a rather underwhelming and boring game to play. And the worst part is that issues that it claims to try and fix aren't actually fixed. Because in World of Tanks, you can't really flank people, right? It's just all hull-down fights, corridor maps, etc. Steel Aces, however, there aren't hull-down tanks that are being abused everywhere. However, the mobility is so poor, right? The physics engine and actually trying to get to anywhere is so inefficient and clunky, you can't actually flank anyone. You end up in just the same frontal engagements, except everything has more armor and you have to load the higher pen rounds, right? And look, all of these things could be fixed hypothetically in the future if it wasn't for the fact that the developers don't want to fix them. Like the Bulldog said with the physics, this is how it's going to be, this is how it's going to stay. They're not going to change it or replace it with anything. And if you criticize them or ask too many questions, they will condescend you, insult you, label you, mute you, and then, in some rare cases, they might even ban you. Or they might just ignore you altogether. You are talking to a wall. They will never listen to anything you say because they don't care. They don't care how the game actually is. They care how the game looks. They want you to think that this is some hyper-realistic, best of both worlds, nice combination of both games. And they don't want any other people who could bring that image down to be near them, even if that means asking innocent questions. So, for me personally, I do not much care for Steel Aces, okay? I don't really see this game having a future, and that's not to say it won't be successful. I'm sure there'll be some player base that plays the game a lot, but this is certainly not the promise that was made to us. This is not the game that replaces World of Tanks or War Thunder, or it's not the game that is the best of both games. This is just another vanity project by some Redditor, and that's kind of the best way to describe Steel Aces. You take a hyper-autistic War Thunder Redditor who is fanatic about every tiny little realistic detail, and you get them to make a tank game. And that's how you end up with spending 4 years designing a tank physics simulator, under the hood, as he would say, that is clunky, unresponsive, and just outright obnoxious, just to be beaten by someone else in a week, like the footage you're seeing here. Again, it's not to say that my game's physics is more realistic, or more complicated, or more involved than the Bulldog's. It's not. It is stripped down. It is the most bare bones mechanic that you can make to achieve the best result. See, its goal was to create a responsive, easy to understand, easy to control, consistent physics system that is realistic enough to pass as a tank game. Right? The tanks aren't hovering around or driving like the EBR 105.
You guys don't understand how game development works.
Well, I do.
And it's not just type. No, you don't, right?
Yes, I do. But this is real game development, Mr. Bulldog. Let me give you a little lesson here. Developing a game doesn't mean you spend 4 years on a useless vanity mechanic. Developing a game means that, for lack of a better word, and I know this word sounds bad, but hear me out, it means you cut corners. And what I mean by cut corners is that instead of wasting time for something that would be nice, you focus on things that are needed. For example, the physics that I just showed you. I didn't implement clutches or a differential or torque curves or any of that. And maybe you could add that in the future. But right now, we need something that works immediately and is good enough. The Bulldog is more interested in making his own little personal project where he gets to make a tank game as realistic as he wants, and he gets to simulate all the tiny little mechanisms as deeply and thoroughly as he wants, but he hasn't taken a step back and thought, is this actually what people want? Because he doesn't care. He only wants what he wants. You understand? That's why, while he's still trying to figure out how to solve differential equations and torque curves, I just added Tanks GG to my game. Just like that. Took me 2 days. It has the armor viewer and also even the live feature. And again, this is not to say I'm smarter than him. I mean, I am, but the point is, I have my priorities straight. I know, okay, what needs to be added right now and what can be added later. The Bulldog and his team of, sorry to say this again, but autists, they're autistic nerds. In fact, they're antisocial autistic nerds. And how could they not be? How could someone who's not antisocial get upset over this HE mechanic joke that I made? Say it's a Rule 2 violation, and then later bring it up in my ban saying you've made previous rule violations in the past. This is just not a way to conduct your game. And I don't want this video to be an advertisement for my game, but I'm trying to make a point here, is that the reason you should listen to me is because I actually do care, okay? As much as I come across as an arrogant asshole, I do actually listen to what people say, and I think to myself, what can be done to please the most amount of people? Almost a utilitarian perspective. To me, that means physics that are responsive, clean, and consistent, but simple enough so that it doesn't take me 4 years to add. But you can even back up from that and have a look more broadly. I don't ban people for having a disagreeing opinion. I don't ban people because they are a potential PR risk. And you know what, guys? I need you to hold me accountable because that's what sets me apart from everybody else. At least that's what I like to believe. Is that I do not act like these bureaucratic, authoritarian, corporate, sterile slaves. And I want to remain not like that. And I need you guys to hold me accountable. I need you guys to hold me to the highest possible standard, and I will meet you there. If I do something that is wrong, something that is not in the best interest of the player base or any of the likes, I need you guys to call me out immediately, aggressively, relentlessly. Do not ever let it slide. Treat it like the Epstein files. And if I ban you for it, then you know that I am truly gone, and that you don't have to listen to anything I say, and I'm no different from anybody else. Can we make that deal? Here, shake on it. I'm putting my hand up right now to the screen, okay? Shake on it. Here's the deal. I make the best possible tank game of all time, and you hold me to the highest possible standard. Deal? I think that's a good deal. What do you think of that deal?
I'll make that deal. How about you, Udovich? You make that deal?
I'd make that deal.
I don't blame you. Damn good deal.
That's all I have to say about this. And, you know, my little rant aside, I am actually just disappointed. Like, this isn't... I know some of you might look at this and think, oh, Kems is trying to ruin Steel Aces, blah, 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 blah. He hates the developers, etc., etc. I just wanted a tank game, man. Same reason that I was interested in 2021, I'm still interested now. And if you're disappointed that this game did not live up to what it should have been, then, you know, you can imagine how I feel. You, who heard about this game, what, 4 months ago, you're disappointed? Imagine how I feel. 4 years, almost 5 years. Anyway, that's pretty much all I had to say. There isn't anything else to cover about Steel Aces. I'd be curious to see how they would react to this. I do wonder if they tried to, like, take this video down with a false copyright claim or something. Keep an eye out. If this video suddenly disappears, then you know some foul play was at work. I mean, like, it's not like I hate them. It's not like they're my enemy. If they were to just come out and say, you know what? Okay, Kems, maybe we treated you a bit too harshly. Fine. You know what? We'll unban you, and we'll let you back in, and we'll become friendly again, etc. I wouldn't have a problem with it. I would go right back in, and I would play the game and give them my honest feedback. But you know what? I don't think they would ever do that. I think they have too much pride and ego, and their hubris won't allow them to ever do that. Not gonna lie, like, this is like ultra beta male energy. Like, going out of your way to say, no, I will never make amends. I do not care about them. I hate them. They're gone for good. This is beta male energy, right? I think real men can come together and say, okay, let's put our differences aside for the sake of the game. But yeah, I don't think that's ever gonna happen. Here's an interesting quote I found, and yeah, okay, fine. I get this might be kind of pretentious and silly, but I honestly heard this and I thought, that's pretty applicable, not gonna lie. So, have a listen.
No one is more hated than he who tells the truth, for truth tears away the masks in which men hide their ignorance. The just man will be scoured with lies, bound with envy, and condemned by the multitude, not for his crimes, but for his virtue. Like the prisoners in the cave, they will turn upon the one who shows them the light, calling him mad, for they prefer the comfort of shadows to the pain of seeing. They will claim he disturbs the peace, yet it is their own corruption he exposes. Remember, the good man's duty is not to be loved by the crowd, but to guard his soul and speak what is right, even when the price is death.
And so, with that all out of the way, my conclusion summed up, I think I'll move on to me being banned, okay? I was banned temporarily from the Steel Aces Discord for about a month. And the reason I left it to the end of the video is because this isn't information that you need to know to make a judgment on Steel Aces or to the development team, if that makes sense. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you everything that happened, and you come to your own conclusions, and you have it in the back of your mind, okay? Let me explain how I got banned for a month. So, it all starts with this image. I was making this image in the Discord call. So, I was streaming Blender, the program I use to 3D model and render. I was streaming it to a couple of guys, I think maybe like 7 or 8, in the Steel Aces Discord. And, you know, they were telling me, they're giving me advice on what to add. One guy said, add a beer mug. So I added a beer mug. But then, of course, that's haram. But also, it didn't really look that good. So someone else said, oh, how about you try a cup of coffee? So I modeled a cup of coffee, put it in there, and we liked that one more. And then some funny guy, he said, model a swastika. And you know what? I aim to please, okay? That, you know, it's funny. I'm gonna do it, fine. I modeled the swastika. I even made it glow. And the guys had a good laugh, and then I deleted it and went back to working on it seriously. Well, it turns out someone in the call, and I know who this person is, but I'm not gonna out them. They actually took a screenshot and reported it. That's right. You know, nothing screams low testosterone than that, right? Like, these are the same type of people that would call the government on you during COVID because you weren't vaccinated or something, or you weren't wearing a mask. Like, these people, they need to be eradicated. But anyway, this person sends the screenshot to BTED, and then BTED says, you have time for a call. I get into the call, and BTED says, hey, this is unacceptable, blah, blah, blah. And in my mind, I was like, okay, yeah, okay, it's actually not that big of a deal. Like, it actually isn't that big of a deal. I don't care what kind of bullshit, psyop, brainwashing you've received, but to think that a symbol that killed 6 million people is unacceptable, but a symbol that killed 30 or 60 million people, well, that's fine, that's okay. If that's how you think, then you're a retard, and I don't have to listen to anything you say. But you know what? I didn't even argue him. He did ask me, like, oh, do you agree with this? Do you think it's fair? And I just said, whatever, man. It's just, you know, shut the fuck up, you fat whale. Let's get on with it. Give me the ban. We'll go through. I didn't call him a fat fuck whale or any of that. This was in my head. Because ultimately, it doesn't matter if I think it's stupid or not. It's their Discord, right? It's their rules. However stupid the rule may be, they reserve the right to ban me for whatever reason. They didn't like this image. Okay, fine. That's why, after the 40-day ban was up, I came back and I didn't even make a big fuss about it. I didn't say anything, whatever. Someone asked me, oh, why were you banned? And all I said was, performative virtue signaling. And the Bulldog took quite offense to that. He actually personally said, this is not performative virtue signaling. It's actually against the law here in Germany to post swastikas. And I thought, really now, is it? Because sure, okay, I know about that law, okay? I looked it up, and you're just wrong. Because, look, you might say, Kems, who are you to argue with the German about German laws? Guys, let's pause for a moment. Unless you're a lawyer, I'm willing to wager that 99% of civilians don't actually know or understand the laws that govern them. Do you know all the laws that govern you? Unless you're a lawyer, I don't think so. So to sit here and say this person knows a lot about German laws just because he's German, I don't accept that, because anybody can open up Google, go into the official German government's website, and read up on it yourself, which is exactly what I did. And I personally don't have access to a German lawyer, nor would I waste my time and resources hiring one for this meaningless event. So I use ChatGPT. And if you're going to say, oh, ChatGPT, you're using AI, listen, I trust an AI more than I trust a narcissistic developer. Is that fair? If a real German lawyer wants to chime in the comments, I'll pin it. And it doesn't matter if you're with me or against me, just tell me how it is. However, I fed it the laws, and I explained it the situation, and the AI basically said, no, the Steel Aces developers are not at any risk of anything happening to them. So, there are two things worthy of mentioning. One, it is in fact illegal to post or draw swastikas in Germany. However, I'm not a German. Thank fucking God, by the way. Yeah, I live in a free society, thank you very much. But I'm not German, so this law doesn't apply to me. And the developers, well, they didn't post it. They didn't draw it or post it or anything. So the German government isn't going to attack you because an American posted a swastika. Unless, of course, there's the second one. If you are the host of a gathering, and Discord can be considered a gathering. It's a public communal space. However, I should add the law is not actually very clear about this. I'm just giving them the benefit of the doubt. The worst case scenario and assuming that they do consider it part of a public space. If someone posts a swastika, it is your job as a German who is a staff member, who has the power to, it is your job to remove the swastika. However, this was a stream. There was nothing to remove. When the stream ended, the swastika was gone. It effectively deleted itself. So, the German government, for all they care, there was a swastika, it was deleted. So there's no issues there. So, when I say performative virtue signaling, it's because it was. As far as I know, I don't actually see anywhere in German law, and correct me if I'm wrong, you could leave it in the comments if you're a German lawyer. I don't believe it says, if someone posts it, you must ban them off Discord for 40 days. No, that was something they came up with on their own. Because they didn't post the swastika, and the swastika deleted itself. So no further action needs to be taken. But they did. They decided that we need to ban him for 40 days. Because again, it's performative virtue signaling. And look, I left this to the end of the video because I'm not taking a stance here saying they should not have done that. No. I fully acknowledge this is their Discord and they can ban me for whatever reason they want. But do not say, oh, we had to do it for German law or whatever. No, you didn't. And this is quite telling because it comes back to the whole reason I'm telling you this story in the first place. It's to arm you with knowledge, with the information, with the truth, with what actually happened. Because I know what they're going to do. They're going to twist the facts to spin up a narrative. You want an example? I'll give you an example. Someone in the Discord says, oh, why was Chems banned? Presumably, hypothetically, the Steel Aces developers would say, oh, he posted a swastika. And we can't do that because we're German. We live in Germany and it's against the law. We could go to jail. You wouldn't want us to go to jail, would we? We had no choice but to ban him. And then the average retard would say, oh, okay, sure. They won't give much thought about it. But you, who have watched this video to the end, amazingly, you know that, no, actually, this isn't what happened. He did not post any swastika. He showed a swastika on his stream for like 2 minutes and then it effectively self-deleted itself and everybody moved on. But they still decided he needed to be banned to put on a performance. Look how virtuous we are. And this just reeks of woke corporations. All these AAA studios, they act in the exact same way, right? Constant virtue signaling to, who knows, investors or whatever people it is that they need to appease. And quite frankly, this just doesn't feel very indie to me, right? a small indie game of people that the Bulldog so desperately wants everybody to think, right? He's going into random streamers' chats, giving them money, talking about how he's just a wholesome Chungus indie developer who's sick and tired of Watt's bullshit. The whole thing is just a performance, right? It's just an illusion. Then when you come down to how it actually plays the game, you criticize, you critique, you point out certain things. Not only do they shut it down, but they take personal offense to it. You are now rage baiting them, and you're trying to destroy the game, and you need to be removed immediately. So, yeah. That is a lot of yapping. I understand it's 2.5 hour long video. It's kind of ranty. I ranted a lot. I'm just telling you how I feel about the game, alright? You came to this video specifically to see my perspective and opinion on Steel Aces, and you have received it. You can do with this information what you will, but me personally, I'm just not gonna give a shit about Steel Aces. This video is coming out the day that Steel Aces open beta begins, which means anybody can play it. The timing of this was intentional. Now you have all this knowledge in mind, go play the game for yourself. I mean, it's a free game after all. You decide if this is the kind of game you want to play and support financially. For me, the answer is no. I think, currently, I'll just go back to working on my own game. And in a few months, you guys will not be disappointed. So yeah, that's all I have to say. And yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative for you. And thanks for watching.